What's up, people? How y'all doing? Started streaming like 3 minutes before midnight. It counts. It counts. It counts. Counts as stream on the 15th. Okay. It counts. We're counting it. Because I promised I would stream today. Although technically, because I said I would after midnight yesterday, really, even if I started after midnight, you know, technically it was already the 15th when I said it, so could argue, even if I started on the 16th, still would have been. It kept my promise. Still would have not lied. One could argue. I feel like I'm shorter than you. Sure. I don't know why though. Maybe I'm just slouching. I think I'm just slouching. Hand saws. Probably China. Alright. I'm guessing Germany. Alright. I'm guessing Japan. Less confident about this one. Okay, number 6. Damn. South Korea? Damn. It's probably going to be another European country. It might be like Italy. I'm going to guess Italy. Yeah, right, number 5. Switzerland. Probably could have guessed Switzerland. And the US I could have guessed, but I was just thinking we don't have steel. That's why we have all the steel tariffs to bring our glorious steel jobs back. Petroleum gas, crude petroleum, and a bit of alcohol derivatives. Acylic, is that how you pronounce that? Alcohol derivatives. 5.2 billion. Togo. I feel like it's some West African country that's like fairly small. Yeah, alright, fuck. Equatorial Guinea. Let's fucking go. Second guess. Let's go. Easiest game of my life. Easiest game of my life. People aren't here because they started late, so I want to play some World Cup games. What's up? Not your fun. Welcome back. Okay, so we're going to find out about foreign policy now? Never. Never. Cars. Probably Norway. Hand-woven rugs. I feel like Iraq, but still might be Norway? Hell yeah. Okay, gas turbines. Definitely going to be Norway. Jewelry. Probably Iraq, but it could definitely still be Norway. Let's go. Let's go. Jams. Probably Norway, but maybe not. Guess in Norway. Fuck. Damn. 11K net. How about California water use policy? How California water use policy was turned into a culture war issue by Fox News. See, that I'm more interested in. Overall trade balance. I actually don't know. They're probably going to have a lot of oil. I'm guessing that Norway does, yeah. Do you still want a public option? No. How long ago did I favor a public option? I think I only ever favored a public option like years ago. Unless you mean like, just might take that like, probably it'd be better just to like unify much of our currently existing like veteran affairs, Medicare, Medicaid into like just probably like just having kind of one program would be like administratively better. Like probably. But I would still limit eligibility for that to like maybe less people than are eligible now, even because the veterans are.
What happened?
Don't clip this, okay? The veterans are too greedy. I want a 2x because 2x is based. Oh, I don't want to watch a 46-minute video on stream. I can save this for later. But unless it's like stuff that I know a lot about already. I don't want to do that. How would you merge Medicaid and Medicare? They're very different programs. I just mean like, so I don't think it's probably administratively the best that we have a bunch of different programs that are all managed differently, and the Department of Veteran Affairs is like a single payer system where the Veteran Affairs Office like actually owns the hospitals in some cases and stuff. But like then we have Medicare, which has like private insurance plans, and I think Medicaid does Medicaid have any private? I think Medicaid has private plans too, but I don't know if I don't think it's the same degree to like Medicare Advantage or whatever, and it would just be better to unify it into just like a one type of system. You would just, I think, still have to like limit eligibility and not allow like substantial price negotiations, because I think that would be bad for, you know, innovation purposes and such. Personally, I think we should expand TRICARE for everyone. Horrible. But yeah, that's what I mean. That'd be like the only type of quote unquote like public option I'd be in support of. I don't think I've supported a public option beyond that for quite a while now, other than like non-fun, you know, 5 years ago. I think there's still a video of it up on my channel. I found it. Lack of universal health. When was this made? Okay, thanks. That's definitely what I wanted to do.
Insane amount of people on them, so they don't have
2023
negotiating power over prices. But if we had a public option,
horrible. Thanks for the
Almost
sub, Coco
2
the K.
years of non-phoning.
Almost. I appreciate it, Coco the K. Let's go. 2 years of fondling. 2 full years. The VA will never, in a million years, give up TRICARE for members, so you'd have to give it to Medicaid and Medicare if you want to go that route. Yeah, I don't think there's any politically feasible way to deal with the VA stuff. It's just like, so, you know, no politician is ever going to be able to go up on stage and be like, you guys should read this blog post by Nicholas Decker, which says that actually veterans get like way too generous a benefit. Like, it's just like so politically infeasible, bro. It's just not happening. Not happening. Why does nobody run for president on reforming military disability? Yeah, I know. Why is this not part of the DSA's true platform? Should be get rid of the disability rating for veterans. That's the only real type of welfare fraud, is fucking veterans upping their disability rating and getting free healthcare and payments that encourage them not to work. Oh my God. Horrible. We have actually existing socialism in the US. It's called military and veterans. Don't you know that the military socially owned grocery stores are all super great, and that's what Zorhan is going to do? He's going to copy the military socially owned grocery stores. I don't think many veterans would be happy if we switched VA to insurance. I don't think they'd be happy. Well, I don't know if any of my proposals would make veterans happy. That's not the point of them. I don't think they'd be happy as a matter of just like status quo bias for almost any reform. But like any reform I would make to healthcare would involve being less generous to veterans, and that is just like, yeah, they're not going to be happy. And before DSA puts out a platform and it's all repeal the salt cap and center right entitlement reform. Can't wait. No, it's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a DSA caucus that has this. It's gonna be just turn Social Security into a sovereign wealth fund. Okay. Speaking of the DSA, is any of this shit worth watching, bro? Let's start DSA neoliberal caucus based kitchen table issue. Cringe, awful. It could work. It could work. We could do it. We can infiltrate. Material conditions, amazing, love it. Can we make dialectical materialism a kitchen table issue? When will we have Kamala Harris campaigning on how class warfare inevitably leads to the decline of capitalism and the tendency of the rate of profit to fall? Did he talk about stuff I care about in here? And then I saw he talked to North afterwards as well. I think North and Avi, although Avi might have been like moderating. But seriously, the DSA is actually right now trying to pass a resolution among themselves to stop a DSA Neolib caucus. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, link it if you can. Let's go.
Vote for the Republican. How does Destiny arrive at that point of just unmitigated?
Okay, they're talking about Destiny. Let's go. Incredible.
Yeah, it's.
Oh no, they're pulling up a substance tweet.
We're all like fairly a blip on the radar, honestly, when it comes to the media at large, and who's actually influencing.
Unlike me, non-fun
Voters. I just think it's wild to be blaming your colleagues in online left.
Having a Dem candidate just give the arguments for traditional Marxism while being normal, otherwise maybe the path forward, unfortunately.
For candidates winning or losing, when in reality, we're not even supposed to be propagandists. It's not like our job is to come out here and enlist our voters to register to vote and vote here and vote there. Like, that's not really our job. We're supposed to be political.
That's what I do as all the funnelers know exactly who to vote for in the primaries.
Analysts, pundits, people that talk about our opinions. We're not on the payroll of the Democratic Party. At least Zach and I aren't.
I am.
So for one, it's stupid for that reason. We're allowed to have opinions. We're allowed to hash out disagreements. We're allowed to say things that might not be 100% the most helpful piece of propaganda ever for the Democratic Party, regardless of which faction of the Democratic Party you're from. So what's your response to that? And do you think that accounts like ours...
Stop the spoilers for the expulsion of spoiler candidates. The resolution is intended to resolve the ongoing and increasing problem of non-endorsed DSA members continuing their campaign against chapter-endorsed or nationally endorsed DSA candidates and potentially spoiling these democratically deliberated candidacies. The resolution, if approved, creates a process for expelling such members if their campaign hinders the election of any chapter or nationally endorsed DSA candidate. One of the authors said the intent of this resolution was to stop moderate Dems infiltrating the DSA to be spoilers. Damn, my plan is over. There's going to be some caucus at DSA calls neoliberal, but they just don't want to kill capitalists. That's called being petty bourgeois, which is basically being neoliberal, which is basically being fascist. If you didn't know. I don't think they use the term moderate, but So to undermine said democracy, agree upon work, and furthermore disorganize our membership, disrupt our ability to win elections, inhibit us from acting as a cohesive political bloc, and weaken our organization as a whole. Ultimately, the decision of any one member to run against any DSA-endorsed candidate is an inexcusable jeopardizing of our organization's social contract and inhibits our broader ability to politically organize and make necessary political intervention in our community. Wow.
And conversations like this, do you think it really even matters that much ultimately when it comes to this stuff?
So I don't have a strong intuition about like the direct effect that influencers have on voting trends.
Or like if the third party movement had more sense and was competitive, like they would have been very attractive to us. But, we're, firm believers in reforming the Democratic Party because of the structure of the country we live in. Right. You know what I mean? If I lived in a country with 4 parties, I probably wouldn't be in the Democratic Party. But because of the structure.
Pisco constantly talks about intuition as a causal inference. Now it scares me. I know. He literally said, at least I think he did, if I'm not making it up, indulging 80. I remember I was like, holy shit. The hell?
Of the duopoly, like this is what it is. This is what we have to do. And so I'm always looking for the furthest left candidate. I'm always looking for the most progressive candidate. Like
the Overton window pushing to the left.
No.
I hear that.
Exactly. That's how I feel like my prerogative is. You, on the other hand, I feel like may have a slightly different prerogative. So I'd be curious to know what it is about these progressive candidates that I support, because I think they're talented in the case of AOC El Sayed and others. But, I might support a candidate like Francesca Hong, despite some of the pitfalls that she would make that other people would be more likely to back away from. Even Bernie Sanders was, definitely raising an eyebrow about the statements that she was making up until the end of the primary race. So I was just wondering, like, how do you make up your mind there? And
let's see. 1, I'm a capitalist. I care about property rights. Please, can we at least get that? And then 2, they're too far on abolishing prisons.
Were you more interested?
Can we at least get these?
In a Crowley character than a Francesca Hong guy? And
I
for
was.
what reasons?
Yeah. So like what splits the difference there, right? And so the factors that go into my mind, like the core features, in some ways, I'm kind of conservative. I want to preserve our democracy and preserve our republic. And that means...
Oh, it's all going to be... it makes sense, but it's all going to be like political factors. It's fine, whatever.
I think the most immediate way, getting rid of these MAGA terrorists who are in charge of the country at the moment and who dominate the branches of Congress. And so that's because that is clear and present. Something that's really important is
for real,
your ability to win an election, right?
Counterpoint, I'm okay with prison abolition, but Thanksgiving abolition is a step too far. For real.
My focus was on who I thought was going to be more electable in the Wisconsin governor's race, where I think that there was a big divergence there. And I think some of the markets and some of the polls demonstrate that. But I'm a progressive person when it comes to policy, right? Like I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary in 2016 and 2020. And so in terms of progressive policy, I'm right there. When it comes to El Sayed and Mamdani, different rationales. For El Sayed, I thought that he was much more likely to vote in favor of court expansion than Haley Stevens. And let me make the case just real briefly about why court expansion is #1 priority, regardless of whether you're a liberal or whether you're on the left. Because these conservative justices are itching to strike down any progressive agenda, whether it's an executive action or whether it's legislation. The first chance they get, they are salivating about who is going to be able to write that opinion, striking down whatever champion legislation that you want to promote. Look what they did with the Voting Rights Act. I mean, there's so many examples of that on display. And so in response to what happened to Merrick Garland's seats and how they sort of packed the court with Mitch McConnell back in 2015, 2016 era, we should be expanding the court. And it's important for institutional reasons. It's important for the separation of powers. And I think that candidates who are more forthright in their support for that policy and other structural reforms need to be supported. So on policy grounds, I think El Sayed is much more likely to do that. Also, I prefer his policy when it comes to anti-Iran war. And so because I view Iran war as both a strategic, a constitutional.
Is Haley Stevens pro like this Iran war? She might be pro like maybe like the Midnight Hammer strikes, but I didn't think she was pro the current Iran war. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
And like a moral failing. Like for me, the Iran war is one of the biggest deals. That's also going to drive me a lot. For Mamdani specifically,
just to clarify, you don't think that he's vulnerable in the general election in Michigan?
So there it's more equivocal. Yeah, there it's more equivocal. I saw people were exaggerating some of the polls that had Haley Stevens ahead. The actual margin with the aggregate was like 2-3 points. And these sort of primary polls are, as we can see, much less indicative, especially when it's the general election matchup in these sort of early times. And so because the margin, in my view, was much smaller there, that was the dominating factor. And because he would actually be in a position to do court reform, the Wisconsin governor's not going to be doing that, right? I'm adding more for that position in the context of someone who can actually actualize it, right?
Because people also did say, and this was, in my opinion, why Bernie lost to Joe Biden. They said, well, you might like Bernie's policies, you might like his vision, but he's going to lose to Donald Trump. Joe Biden will win to Donald Trump. In my opinion, that's actually what successfully scared a lot of voters into getting Joe Biden across the finish line in that primary.
Is this? Yeah, I think Stevens is more electable, but Products will probably get away with it. Probably. Donald Trump is going to do what Donald Trump does. I think it's a fool's run to place blame on him supposedly being dictated by others. It was clear that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, have failed in the goal of long-term peace. They have failed, she added. I think many in America are looking forward, and I know in Michigan are looking forward to the end of the Trump-Netanyahu era. I believe in a two-state solution. He equivocates around Israel's right to exist. What has she done that? On Wednesday, House Democrats were split on an amendment to cut off USA to Israel, which ultimately failed in a vote of 104 to 314 with 103 Democrats. Okay, what did Stevens vote on this? I mean, she probably... Oh, it's against the amendment, yeah. Haley Stevens is going to give it. Yeah, if only we elected Haley Stevens, we would have had the two-state solution.
Because it's not that they preferred his policy vision over Bernie. It's just
McMorrow seemed nice. I don't know why we couldn't have McMorrow.
That sort of meme.
You can't get what you want.
To just support the.
It proves too much. Of course, you're right.
There are no good things.
Just electability, turn your brain off. And I never have tried to approach it that way. I also thought charisma, that'll get to Mamdani in a second, is really important. I think Hong lacked that. I think even people on the left may acknowledge that in terms of charisma and the ability to actually make movement there. So that's priced in as well. But you're right. Like, it actually wasn't clear based on the general election matchups in 2016. I thought Bernie would have won against Trump, and so I don't think it's always the case that the more left-wing candidate is like less good in the matchup. A big test is going to be in Michigan. And lastly, I know I've been talking a lot on Mamdani. There, I thought Cuomo was going to be much more conciliatory to Trump. I mean, he was already signaling that way, and he has shown like there's so many skeletons in his closet. Mamdani, I could see even early on, even before it was clear that it was going to be a competitive race, that he had charisma, that he had vision, and he was the alternative to Cuomo. Therefore, not only did I endorse him, I actually voted for him. Twice.
Well, that's good to hear. And I think, again, as you mentioned, we agree on a lot more than we disagree on. I think it's really important to have these healthy conversations and hash this stuff out. And I guess my next question is just as an extension of that discussion, what direction do you think the Democratic...
Oh, what's up, Big Jerry? Welcome back. I don't know. I don't have like a strong opinion on it, but like the argument that I've heard is that there were just like a meaningful amount of like Bernie to Trump voters, probably because they are just like both like populist adjacent candidates. We know who they are, yeah, neither right nor left. Like I think it doesn't even fucking Rob know. What did Rob North say that he would vote for Bernie Sanders over, it wasn't Trump, but it was like there were like other Republican candidates who he said he would favor Bernie Sanders over because Bernie Sanders is at least anti-establishment.
Democratic Party should take, obviously it's up to the voters, but what direction do you think the Democratic Party should take in 2028 as we prepare to nominate a candidate that will ultimately go against most likely J.D. Vance, the next in line for the MAGA dynasty? Who do you think is the best candidate, or who, like among the candidates, who would you say is the best candidate to get the job done and who will actually inspire voters to vote for the Democrats again?
So I think there's two.
Fuck, what was his answer? Chris Murphy or whoever who wrote a... Listen, I understand Pisco has his reasons, okay? But that's like an anti-free trade position. Kill me.
Two big categories: rhetoric and riz, and substance. And unfortunately, they're both, in my view right now, 50% of the job. 50% of the job now, ask Mamdani, is making people think you're doing the job. And that is just now an extension of the job. And so those are the two big categories. Unfortunately, if you don't have
What's up, Scratch?
or like generational talent and being able to, I don't know, do like Pete Buttigieg and like confront people in Fox, or AOC, very charismatic, or John Ossoff, this like, he's insanely good in all of these, both in the sort of committee setting, but also on the stump. And so if you don't have that, you're going to be a big negative. And so that's on the rhetoric stuff. I think that you need to have riz. And unfortunately, for some people who are more averse to like populism, right? You need to have that populist rhetoric. You just have to, right? Like we're in that moment, and that's the language that people hear politics in. And so regardless of whether or not you're quote unquote a policy wonk or you're abundance pilled or whatever, it needs to be sort of couched in something real that appeals to the people. So that's on.
Oh no, he's talking to me. He's talking to me.
For me, the concentration is on structural reform. It's on court expansion. It's on giving the vote for people in DC.
Listen, unfortunately, this is just like true. It's just true, guy. I think it is just like true that all else equal, like having populist rhetoric is probably pretty good.
It's on punishing these Trump corrupt thugs, right? It's about enforcing our antitrust laws, right, that we have on the books. And so much. This is, in my view, anti-corruption efforts. That's what's bread and butter for me. So those are the efforts that me personally, I want the party to go in. But, you know, was January 6th the thing that pushed people over the edge in 2024? Maybe not. And so I think there also needs to be an affordability agenda. And like
the thing that pushed me over the edge was Lena Khan's aggressive antitrust abuses of antitrust power. There's got to be a meaner way to phrase that. Lena Khan's evil government socialist antitrust policy. The best performing candidates are the Blue Dog Democrats. Congrats, bro. Another politics shut has ascended. Thanks, Scratch, I guess. Lena Khan radicalized me to the center, right? Yeah, exactly.
Like a healthcare agenda. You can see Democrats do very well on healthcare, and so they need to push that. They need to push affordability, and so I know that's very general and like sort of broad strokes, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anti-corruption
support for AOC 2028. That's what
I'm a big fan of AOC. So right now my top candidates would be people, and I know Chris Murphy doesn't have a lot of riz, but AOC,
Yeah, Chris Murphy.
John Ossoff, these types of people. Those
Which I understand. I understand his reasons, okay? And I don't think they're totally invalid, okay? You know, yeah. Having Riz and stuff of that nature. Being anti-corruption. I just see stuff like, is it this? Here's just like Murphy underscored the need for a post-neoliberal foreign policy that aims to break up the concentrated global economic power, protect fair trade, and breathe life back into local communities. Trade agreements should be put to a simple test. Will the terms concentrate or distribute private economic power? When new rules clearly give large companies too much power over workers and citizens in individual nation states, then the answer must be to rewrite or
My
reject
late
them.
night boom stream.
Thanks, Scratch. I appreciate it. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah. I'm always gooning. I'm always gooning. You see, I've been doing TikTok stuff, by the way, Scratch. A little bit of it. Like, I heard Biden had to call her into his office and tell her to do the click to cancel / no non-compete stuff. Oh, I don't mind broader antitrust enforcement, but Lena Khan was taking big swings rather than obvious wins, and it was very stupid of her. Oh, sure. Yeah, Chris Murphy is silly.
are the kind of sound I'm looking
AOC,
to.
Curbs Comp, and the rest of those names in the
election?
polling, at least
Yeah.
early. Yeah, I mean, that's the best I've seen. And Ossoff is my dark horse too. I've been saying, like, hey, watch out for him. The Democrats love a white guy from the South that can win a swing state
Georgia,
election. I think that's going to be huge for him, but he's still polling like 4%, so he's got a long way to go. If he's
I think he does have a long way to go for sure. What I like about Ossoff is I think he can really be unifying, because I think that a lot of people can be inspired from him from many different sides. I really respect Kamala for stepping up to the plate for Biden in 2024. I think if Biden was the nominee, and by the way, we still have some Biden dead enders who think that Biden would have, there's Bernie would have won. There are people who say
Thanks, Scratch.
Biden would have won in 2024, and I think that that's fucking crazy. But I think Kamala really did an honorable thing.
Like Nick
You're shitting on a wick.
versus McGovern for Donald
I
Trump.
think yes. I happen to agree with that. I think we would have lost like New Jersey and all that shit. And listen, Kamala Harris has been sounding better on some of these issues. She's not my preferred candidate because she lost already, and because I think that she crucially lacks a lot of the riz that I think is important. But that said, I would vote for a heartbeat, and you would too, as you did in 2024, for Kamala Harris if she were the nominee against this reptile JD Vance. Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
Obviously.
And listen, if I even
I looked at AOC's policy platform, and you know what? If it's Vance AOC 2028, I'm voting Vance. Even if it wasn't like a, what if it was a Republican House and Senate easy money? Would that change it at all?
the shit I'll talk on Josh Shapiro, right? Like, at least the guy believes in democracy, right?
Yeah.
At least the guy is, so of course, that goes without saying. I personally am just going to try and talk as much shit on him
Do you really believe in democracy if they are just a shield for Israel and the
as I can until, God forbid he drops out of the primary and doesn't win it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I've said before, there's only one Democrat that would cause me to vote green again, and that's John Fetterman. If he was somehow the nominee.
see, I
If he was
disagree with that,
somehow
but
the
I
nominee.
understand that. Yeah, so I disagree with that, but I understand. But Fetterman is just a mess. I mean,
Earlier it was Rubio versus AOC. We can get to debates of moderate versus Dem. Voting Rubio are going to be so good. That would be some great stream of drama. No, probably not. SCOTUS is heavily has expanded executive fiat heavily. Yeah, but like I trust. What makes you think that like Vance would it also abuse those new powers? Like I think like Vance is like arguably more like anti-market, more like post-liberal than Trump is, and I think even Trump has gone somewhat far in that type of stuff. Oh my god, Microsoft Edge, why are you like this? Why is it edging me? Let me click on the Twitch tab, please. Oh shit, what the fuck did I do? Sad Hong lost, but ready to fully support. Great. You're sad that she lost, really. going to rally for him tomorrow base to make a hype vid for him base. Okay, Microsoft Edge is totally shitting itself. What the hell? Oh, there we go. It fixed itself. I think. Post-liberalism is way superior to AOC's policy platform. It's just straight up suicidal. Look at the Embrace Act by AOC, but this would, I don't know what this is, to be clear, but this would like need Congress, wouldn't it? Allows undocumented immigrants to access federal public benefits, including Medicaid, supplemental nutrition insurance, unemployment benefits, and other welfare programs. Large federal agencies from denying public benefits or assistance. Would this really be like suicidal? I don't know. I feel like it. Like, how many people? How many immigrants would qualify for it? Like, we do things that, like, affect a few million people's eligibility for, like, SNAP and Medicaid stuff. Like, it's not that uncommon. Like, the beautiful bill did that. Some of the COVID eligibility requirements obviously, like, change that. And it's, like, not a zero impact, right? Like, it is, like, half a percentage point to GDP and spending or something. But, like, I don't know. It would straight up end our advantage on undocumented immigration forever, all of them. I mean, obviously not. Like, there are above zero like undocumented immigrants that probably make enough to not be eligible for at least some of the benefits. Would fundamentally change the incentives for what undocumented immigrants to work. Is this what you're? Is it? I only see stuff from 2019. This is on her platform. Is there an expand all? I guess it's still on her platform, but I don't even know if she would support this anymore. AOC, Miss Woke One was crazy. I don't even know for certain if she would support this anymore, but this would definitely require Congress. And I think even a good amount of like Democrats would vote against it. I agree. We should give all of them citizenship. This is true. The reason for undocumented workers are such a boon for our economy is because they rarely receive any public benefits. I mean, that is like a thing that makes them like at least a greater net positive from like a fiscal perspective and probably increases their like labor force participation. But like, I don't think that like the singular reason is that they're not eligible for public benefits. And I think like what would JD Vance do? Like, I'm not certain. Maybe JD Vance would like moderate or whatever, but JD Vance is like at least tentatively pro mass deportation. Like, maybe some of that's like just rhetoric, and like obviously the administration is not like doing mass deportations in a sense that they are deporting 20 million people like they fucking said they wanted to do on like campaign trail. But like, I don't know, it's probably just like that's probably just like worse.
Weakness that we get, and people don't understand, right? Like, Yes, sometimes the left wing, from the perspective of liberal, is like annoying or something. But who were the people who were like,
I think mass deportations are preferable to AOCs, but what do you take mass deportations to mean? Because I take it to mean removing, like forcefully expelling as many undocumented / like quasi legal asylum seekers as possible. And I just think that's probably like that's in the millions of people that you're going to be deporting to countries that might not be their home country, or might not be particularly safe, and just overall offers just like a much worse quality of life for them, right? So like, I don't think that's like bad.
fucking up Biden's agenda? Manchin, Cinema, who are the people who are voting to like censure Kamala Harris or Al Green when he's like stepping up on the speech or whatever? That's like Tom Suozzi. That's Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez. Now, I'm going to fall behind those candidates and get in line, but I don't really think that we need to have weakness as a preference in the primary. And Fetterman is weak. He is
like not economically deficient either.
In a primary. I mean, he said he's not going to.
I mean, yeah, I think like just from a net utility perspective, like it's just like, and obviously I think the economic efficiency like plays into that, but like it's just like very bad. It's just like the marginal cost greatly exceeds the marginal benefit. I'm not even convinced the marginal benefit is like positive for many of the immigrants, but
he's not going to run against oh my god, is it McCormick? Oh my god, I'm not remembering now the senator from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I saw that.
But so that's crazy.
He's gonna be a one-term senator. He's gonna be a one.
And mass deportations are like expensive too. Like they're not that cheap. Now maybe you could get like more efficient at doing them, but and maybe it's still cheaper than giving every immigrant unlimited welfare. That wouldn't surprise me. But like they're also not like it's a meaningful amount of spending that you're gonna have to do.
No way he survives re-election. I doubt he even fucking runs as a Democrat in the primary. He'll probably do the Joe Manchin shit and be like, I'm an independent now or whatever.
I hope Summerlee gets a Senate seat, but I digress.
We haven't addressed the elephant in the room. Hassan Piker.
What's that? What about him?
Yeah, so part of
I
these
agree,
conversations, and I just want to be honest with you guys, where I'm getting frustrated, it has to do with his influence in the party and his influence in terms of running with these different candidates. And basically all of these people, whenever I have these conversations where they're considering running, or I don't know, voting for Republicans maybe or sitting out elections, they raise Hassan Piker as an issue. And I wanted to ask your thoughts. What do you think of Hassan Piker's influence in the Democratic Party?
Oh no.
What do you think of the response to Hassan Piker from, you might say more establishment figures?
I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious that we need a Hassan Piker on the left, someone like Hassan Piker who can make noise online, who appeals to the youth, who appeals to people that might not, typically be involved in politics. I don't agree.
This is why we need non-fun. I appeal to the youth.
Everything he's ever said, like, Zach and I have said that we don't really agree with like leaning into Maoism or defending Mao, like stuff like that on the margins, right? You say I don't agree, or I think that's a little bit cringy or LARPy, but there's no one who I agree with 100%. And ultimately, I think he's used his influence in a very legitimate, serious way as a political activist, not only to help support candidates like Abdul El-Sayed, but also, to bring more attention to really important issues like the genocide in Gaza and why Israel needs to be opposed. And I think he's done a good job, again, at centering the conversation on really substantive issues. Even if I don't agree with everything he says, I think this caricature of him as this crazy radical Nick Fuentes of the left or whatever is just completely inaccurate.
Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I tend to agree with Gavin. I think that if we're going to have a candidate that...
You think making every undocumented immigrant person eligible for public benefit is less expensive? Didn't I literally say that I didn't think it, or at least imply? I remember saying mass deportations are expensive. Now maybe they wouldn't be as expensive as giving every undocumented immigrant unlimited welfare benefits, but like it's still a meaningful amount of spending. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. I'm not like 100% certain off the top of my head, because I think it probably depends on what you take mass deportations to mean. I mean, I guess you could say at the very least, like it's a one-time-ish cost as opposed to continuing flow of welfare benefits or whatever. But like, I think if you wanted to go full-scale mass deportations, you have to there's a lot of just like planes that you have to use. There's a lot of just like people you have to pay to like round up the immigrants. And not only is there a direct cost of that, there's also just like straight up like an opportunity cost to that. And I think there's a cost in terms of just the facilities that you have to make to store people in. Depending on your exact view on this, there's a cost of like court hearings that you're gonna have to give them, because they are required to have like some amount of due process, right? Like there does have to be at least some like administrative judge that hears something at some point, from my understanding. So.
Or a candidate, excuse me, a person on the left who is, contending and competing for the #1 Twitch viewer, then that person is serious and they have to be reckoned with. Obviously, I think that Hassan has said edgy shit that, you play that, you're like, Zach, do you agree with this? I would say no, right? Like, I wouldn't, conduct myself that way. And we've given live examples of that. We've never shied away. Some people get really pissed off when we say we disagree with Hassan. There are people that like get nuclear pissed off at us and they're like, how could you say that? Hassan is always right. And I'm like, go watch Hassan's stream if you want somebody to always parrot Hassan. You gave the example of Gavin Newsom. Like, I said I was 100% with Jennifer Welch. I crawl over broken fucking glass. And we talked about how, like, we live in Kansas City, Missouri. Like, I live in a MAGA fucking state. Like, I know
Who is this? FYI, the word lion in Arabic is Assad. So this is what Hassan Piker thinks about Assad. And uncoincidentally, this now Hassan Piker responded to reports of chemical weapon attacks near Palmyra, allegedly perpetrated by the Assad regime. The question for DSA Democratic Socialists on Twitter: what current world leader would you say embodies a democratic socialist principle? The Lion of Syria. Incredible. All right, everyone, it's time to care about dead babies in Syria. Social media told me so. Incredible. It's an untenable arrangement if asylees are pouring in from the southern border. What is untenable? Untenable as in net bad, or untenable as in like national economic suicide? I don't buy the second one. I can see the argument for the first one certainly, but I don't buy the second one, and therefore I think it's like ambiguous whether or not I should be more concerned about J.D. Vance, especially in the context of that being a law that she would have to pass. And I think there's even like in order for AOC to do what she wants, she would have to pass a law. In order for J.D. Vance to do like some scale of mass deportations, he would not have to pass a law, right? He would just have to strictly enforce the like laws in the books or whatever, right? Like in order to get like funding for stuff, he would need Congress to approve it, but ICE already has like a shit ton of funding, and I don't know if Republicans are gonna vote that down. So you know, I thought Venezuela was actually a hellscape. No, surely they're seeking asylum then. I mean,
What it's like, I'm constantly reading about
he's just saying. I think it's just do it. It's the Milton Friedman can't have open borders with welfare states.
restaurants where people are victims of ICE. I'm constantly reading about the fact that, we can't rebuild or fix something. There's no budget, right? The fucking state's bankrupt. The only time we've ever built anything new was when Joe Biden's Build Back Better initiative gave us some fucking money, and then people didn't even turn around and support him. And also, it's a difficult place
True.
to live, but you understand the threat of the Republican Party. Gavin and I remember the Tea Party. It was fucking huge here. So, Jennifer Wells, I think, does a great job of articulating. It's like when you've lived that close to it, she's like, I'm in Oklahoma. Like if you've grown up in Kansas, Missouri, like.
Okay.
Hassan versus not Hassan were an option, right? Like, I just think all else equal, I don't have any data for this. That sort of presents itself as more positive. I will broaden
Where is the place to talk about that? Where is the place to talk about, Angela Davis, our prison's obsolete? Like,
it, and I don't have any.
about it.
Wait, hold on.
When it comes to running for office, we were talking about it too. You ask a candidate about Thanksgiving and Donald Trump's president, they need to talk about how expensive turkey is, and how it's harder to put people around the table because rent is expensive, right? Like pivot, like don't walk into a trap. But to Steelman Hassan for a second, right? And he did put out a statement saying, quote, we should also work to build bridges. Dream. Where is the place to talk about that?
How do we get here?
I think, obviously, when it comes to running for office, we were talking about it too. You ask a candidate about Thanksgiving and Donald Trump's president, they need to talk about how expensive turkey is, and how it's harder to put people around the table because rent is expensive, right? Like pivot, like don't walk into a trap. But to Steelman Hassan for a second, right? And he did put out a statement saying, quote, we should also work to build bridges and mend bridges with other folks on our left flank, folks on our right flank in the Democratic Party. So I think he's aware of this responsibility that's kind of befallen on him. But to just Steelman him for a moment, like I do believe that the prison system in the United States is fundamentally flawed. I think it's grotesque. I think the insane rape culture that we have, the abuse culture, the
Rikers in jail.
all of that stuff. I know we agree on that, right? So my question for you is, if not on Hassan's stream, where is the place to talk about that? Where is the place to talk about, Angela Davis, Our Prison's Obsolete? Like that was a book that I read and it really opened my mind because my sister was pursuing a gender studies degree. Here I am, this young 18-year-old kid. I've never thought about the world that way. I know we can't snap our fingers and have, rethought how we structure our punitive system and reimagine justice.
I read that book. I could be misremembering it. I really feel like it was like not that substantive. It was like I think some of the chapters, maybe like two of the chapters, like did talk about abuse in the prison system and stuff, but I don't remember it actually being that substantive. I remember it just being about like word cell theory stuff. What's up? Wow. Insightful. I don't know if you're speaking. I can't hear you. That's why I'm moving. Don't tell me I haven't read theory, okay? Introduction, Prison Reform and Prison Abolition. Chapter 2, Slavery, Civil Rights, and Abolitionist Perspectives Towards Prison. Chapter 3, Imprisonment and Reform. Chapter 4, How Gender Structures the Prison System. Chapter 5, The Prison Industrial Complex. And Chapter 6, Abolitionist Alternatives. So I think probably Chapter 3 and Chapter 6 are going to be like the only, like what I would say, like substantive ones with regards to that stuff. All right, now I can hear ya.
Oh, sorry. The second I joined too. All right, we need to talk about these people you're talking to on TikTok, okay? I genuinely want to die. So I watched part of the. I don't even know what the initial proposition in dispute was on yesterday's stream.
Mm-hmm.
But on TikTok, I didn't even see it through your live. These people need to be. We need to do things to these people that probably can't be said on YouTube. But the point is, I just genuinely can't stand people who get mad at anyone literate in econ or any Jason Field for using words, and then they simultaneously say a bunch of things in conjunct together that have like no meaning besides like Cornel Westhead or some shit. You need to be meaner to these people in their lives. You just need to rage bait them because they're going to kick you, but at least it looks good to people who can't stand these people.
Yeah, did you see why they kicked me, by the way, at the end?
No, I didn't. But I was raging out. They were so dumb. I literally said they were like yapper. I was shit talking them forever, and they thought I was siding them for half of it in the comments. I said like one of them told you like to speak English, and I said the only person that, or I said something like the only language they're fluent in is Japanese or something. And
oh yeah, I remember.
Like,
I feel like I remember seeing
that. And they were like, yeah, this guy is only fluent in Japanese, and I'm like, bro, I wasn't talking about him. Holy, like, dude, I was just Jesus.
Yeah, they kicked me at the end because she told me to like stop interrupting. It went on a little mini yap session about how I was interrupting and stuff, and I just said like okay at the end, and she was like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. Kick him. And it's like, dog, okay. I
feel like these panels are just rage bait because like I've been on these before, and the whole like method they have is just to like question the fuck out of you. And then when you try to speak, like just go on another yap session. It's like they speak for like 2 minutes that feels like 5. They ask you a question, you answer in like a coherent way, and then they interrupt you halfway through and they're like, no, and then they go back to a fucking rant. And it's like the same thing every time. And they're so aggressive. It's like, dude, who fucking are you, man? Like, Jesus Christ. I just feel like it's rage. But then I've seen people like this in real life. Like I've seen people who think like this. So I'm not entirely sure, but
it's the meta, it's the strategy. I gotta start doing it.
Yeah, anytime someone comes up here to debate you on it's like pharmaceuticals, you can just be like yelling at them and screaming and using Marxian terms to defend King of the Coast, Nicholas Decker, and then you can ask them a question, and then right when they're halfway through getting to their point, you should be like, no, hang on, and then go through another rant using like rhetoric that Angela Davis wrote about before, and
it's a strategy.
Do the same thing over and over, but just employ a different IQ. Left-wing academic. True. When you use words like deconstruct and neocolonial.
Yeah.
But what are you reacting to right now, by the way? This looks like more slop.
It is just slop. I was just skimming through because I think I was working when it happened. Pisco talked to Vanguard people, and then he talked to North afterwards, I think. So I was just skimming through to see what they talked about.
How do you feel about the Destiny stuff, by the way?
What's that like
Vance? Do you think he's being too unhinged? Basically, is the question.
Probably. I don't think Pisco's anti-Semitic. I think that probably you should vote for AOC over Vance. Probably. Can't wait for Easy Money to get mad at me in chat again.
Dude, I don't know. I think Destiny just commits himself to views that are insane and doubles down on them, mostly because of personal grudges, but other people. And I guess Pisco's become the new target. He's like the mini Hassan, apparently. Yeah. It's like Akano Boy was last year.
Rest in peace. Retire in peace.
True. Dude, he's not even uploading on Substack anymore. It's brutal. Like,
I know. It's been months.
6 months.
At least. Yeah.
True. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. But yeah, be meaner to those TikTok people. You can just go through all their lives and get banned from all of them. You can collect them like Infinity Stones or whatever.
I should.
Yeah, let's go. All right. See ya.
So the words USA uses, Mehdi Hasan, it's definitely anti-Semitic. I don't know. Well, I mean, Mehdi Hasan is... I haven't seen anything like... I guess I would say at least like not more anti-Semitic from him than just a level of like the kind of like standard lefty slop views, I guess. So it would just be dependent on like how anti-Semitic you consider those views.
In a way that I think is more humanity-based, but I do think there's something to the idea of thinking it doesn't have to be this way. Why does time and time served equal justice or repentance when really everybody is just more traumatized?
Most of the TikTok people I know, because okay, are leftists. There's like some like MAGA people. I talked to that one like Dylan guy who was like a groper, and he had like there were like 3 people there. I remember talking to them. And then there's some panels out there, but it definitely seems to lean. Maybe it's just my algorithm, but it definitely seems to lean pretty like leftist.
Is more likely to have a crime committed, etc., etc. So where do you suggest people have those conversations if you're concerned about it being taken out of context and weaponized by the right?
Yeah, like you're talking to someone, an idiot who still believes in like this open marketplace of ideas bullshit. And unfortunately, yeah, I'm still stuck there. I think that you should have those conversations with Hassan. I had a fucking polite conversation with Richard Hanania. I had a polite conversation with Michael Tracy about, in my opinion, downplaying the criminality of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, that was unhinged. That was like 3 hours long, right?
That was crazy. Yeah. And that was situation. And I'm very skeptical of like some of the maximalist theories of Epstein. But he was even downplaying Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction and like questioning whether or not she was involved, which I thought was insane given the trial. And so I'm willing to have these kinds of conversations with people I disagree with vehemently, even people who have said disgusting shit. And so I don't begrudge that. I'm just trying to explain like where like I do get kind of exasperated when we make maybe Fox News' job a little easier for them. But in general, that's priced into me. I basically think you can't shut people up, and I'm certainly not in favor of like banning Hassan. And frankly, I think that.
Wait, what? I'm not familiar with this saga. I guess
Destiny
Michael Tracy is a weird phenomenon. He is a weird dude.
Twitch. I think that Destiny should be
platforming. Even though that makes more sense than profiling.
Opinion, insanely bad faith in me and calling me a fucking anti-Semite.
Mehdi is on collabs with Hassan Abi constantly. And Mehdi is do they collab constantly? Didn't they do like one podcast together? And Mehdi is pushing toxic ideas. I agree with that, but
yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm actually pretty free speech absolutist when it comes to that stuff. Like I don't agree with banning people. I don't agree with censoring people or demonetizing them unless they do something that's like genuinely like a literal call for violence against somebody. Or
okay, what does he talk to North about?
Just for my own clarification, because I didn't watch the.
Oh, the Shai is there too. Oh no.
All right, sure. Hold on.
You driving? Driving and debating.
I'm door dashing and debating. Actually, all of us make a sustainable income off of just live streaming plus my internet spending.
Yeah.
Dude, the fucking internet, finally a kindred spirit. I'm stranded here. I'm awash in 18th century living at the moment.
My apartment's.
Does he actually push back on it? Anything the Vanguard says? It didn't. In this interview, from what I skimmed through, it didn't seem like he did, but it also didn't seem like that was like the point of the conversation. So
my ISP.
He's had like more. Not that he would push back in a way that I would want him to push back, but he's had more confrontational debates with the Vanguard people in the past. But
I forget what this new ISP is, but it fucked over my my Ethernet connection to my computer, and I was only streaming at 200 bits. So I got an AT&T router that went through data, and data is now apparently it's overloaded on the tower. So I'll get like 7K bits on the live stream, but it'll occasionally go down to like 300 every like 1 to 5 minutes.
That
is
sucks.
terrible. Yeah, very terrible viewing experience. So.
I also have AT&T, and like this morning, I was not able to get on the internet. My wife was trying to do some work, and so
Pico hates
we'll have it done by
the internet
8, and it was 6. And I checked my.
Great. God. What are you gonna do?
You
Dude, that sucks.
Like printers and shit.
Look, man, you don't understand. You're living in a first-rate city right now in a first-rate nation. The rest of us are slumming it in Trump's America, trying to make it by on just fucking self.
Remember them saying Vanguard is not to do a Vanguard party? I legitimately don't remember that, but incredible if true.
Sorry that inconveniences you.
Yeah,
but
I definitely have internet
obviously-
issues for like a little bit. All right, North, what's up with you? What are you thinking? What's on your mind?
Sure,
What's going
I
on?
wrote down a couple questions, a couple topics I want to go over, both for you and like Josiah. So let's get into it.
Mhm.
This is first family for Pisco. It's the anti-Semitism thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh look, Big Jerry is in Pisco chat.
Just for my own clarification, because I didn't watch the conduit thing like all the way. What do you define as anti-Semitism?
I take it
Oh, no.
as index to individuals to be essentially prejudice or mental bias against someone on account of their Judaism, and or a person who commits some non-trivial amount of discriminatory acts on the basis of Judaism. So one of two kind of visions.
Okay. Do you think that someone can express anti-Semitic discrimination without having, I guess, the hatred of Jews in mind?
I need to know more about what you mean by that. Do you mean, first of all, are you asking if it's possible?
Yes.
And you said to state anti-discriminatory views
No, to like commit anti-Semitic acts
without having the bias.
without necessarily having the internal bias
Yes.
of like, oh, I'm doing this explicitly because I hate Jews. Okay.
Yes, that is possible.
Oh, what's good? Big Jerry gets around. Who's that guy? Did food shop to someone rate again? We came to learn economics. Oh damn, we're not. This is not strictly economics right now. But welcome, Salmon. I appreciate whoever rated economics. Let's go. Yeah. Hold on. Let me open Zotero real quick, guys. Let's balance of payments manual, guys. Okay, 6th edition. Let's learn. We got some learning to do. We got some. In case you didn't know. You guys know the sum of the balance on a current and a capital account represents net lending. This is conceptually equal to the net balance of a financial account. In other words, the financial account measures how net lending or borrowing from non-residents is financed. Is this the one from last week? No, I think this is from like today. Yeah, 8 hours ago. This is the real. When will the DSA address these tables? The economics of Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. If DSA read this instead of Mark Siri, they'd be legit. That's true. Was Pisco in jail? Did he do economic crime, tax fraud? He reasoned from accounting identity. That's what he did.
Okay. Do you think that?
Well, goddamn buy already, I guess. Smoogie Boogie.
Hassan Piker is like anti-Semitic.
I'm not convinced of that.
You're not convinced of that. Okay. Do you think that like Hassan Piker is
He reasoned from a price change. True.
discriminatory against the vast majority of like the Jewish population?
He did. What would you call this fallacy? Just correlation, causation. Like when I was talking to him about like unions and stuff, and it was just like, well, we had strong unions in the past, and we had high growth in the past. Like, just not responsive to, I think, what I brought up. But
What are you asking? On the basis of Judaism or on some other ground?
Like
how are Pisco stocks looking like? Let's see. I wonder what he's at in the marketplace of ideas server. I gotta be down in the marketplace of ideas server. I was number one in that server at one point for my my stock, but I've gotta be pretty far down by now. I'm in too many Discord servers. Fuck.
would discriminate against like 90% of the Jewish population
On the basis of what? Discrimination with respect
on the
to
basis
what?
of the support of Israel.
Yeah, so I don't take that to be discrimination of Jews, do you?
Crazy the level of causal evidence he demands for claims like that versus claims he already agrees with. True. When will he read? What's a good? I don't know. What's a good paper? How we talking about economics about the people who like banking rich? We love banking here. We love banking. I love TARP. I love quantitative easing. Oh my god. I love interest on bank reserves. Sorry, brother. I have work in the morning. Must catch some disease. Don't worry, brother. Don't worry, brother. The hateful Sam is not stuck as a bug in a rug right now. No, don't worry. I understand. I'm employed too, believe it or not. I don't work tomorrow, so I'm good for tonight. But not fun. When will you do bar mitzvah on stream? That'd be a little weird. How about global minimum tax? DBCFT fixes this. DBCFT fixes this, okay? Global minimum DBCFT. I think, like, there might be... Maybe you could argue global minimum tax is net positive just for, like, avoidance reasons, basically. But it would be hard for me to think that that would outweigh the cost that's just like the distortionary cost of taxation more generally. I mean, depends on what tax it is exactly, obviously, because like global minimum DBCFT would be based, but
I would.
Why?
Well, if do you think that like him discriminating against
Wait, no, can you answer that? Wait, so answer that. Please. Answer that question. Why do you think the discrimination
against Jews? Because you're specifically singling out like one particular ethnic group.
Let's just control F, guys. Okay, can we see healthcare? Can we see minimum wage, income, inflation? Dang. When will North confront Pisco on these issues? Didn't Biden set some corporate international tax standard? I don't know if he set an international standard. He did do a alternative minimum tax for corporations. You can see I looked it up recently. Biden alternative minimum tax corporations. I'm not sure if he did anything internationally. 15% minimum tax on adjusted financial statement income of large corporations with average annual profit exceeding $1 billion. But it's possible there was another thing he did. There's a pragmatic papers on it. Oh, he might have. Yeah. Seems like he tried, but according to Google Gemini, wasn't able to do it. Global minimum tax applies to MNCs with revenues exceeding 750 million euros. The income exclusion rule requires the ultimate parent entity of the covered MNC group to impose a top-up tax on any subsidiary in another country that pays less than 50%, less than the 15% effective tax rate. The under tax payment rules enables other countries where the MNC group operates to impose the top-up tax if the UPE home country does not do so. Substance-based income exclusion provisions protect tax incentives from the 15% minimum tax, for example, green energy or semiconductor tax credits. There's a Trump stopped what Biden had agreed to. Oh, yeah, Trump withdrew. For the one also multinationals would tax part of their profits based on where their customers are located. It faced bipartisan congressional opposition. Trump withdrew the United States from the project soon after its inauguration in a second term. Yeah. And like, maybe there's some argument to be made that's a net benefit just based on like avoidance also like being distortionary and bad. Like I think like this probably was like not net welfare enhancing. Like I don't know, maybe it was, but this we already got rid of. But regardless, You know what the real take is? The real take is it's good because it means that countries aren't countries' GDP per capita numbers aren't distorted by headquarters, like company headquarters stationed there. But I think you could just do a like destination-based tax, and most European countries already have a destination-based tax anyway. So, oh Jesus. Or I like you, but you need to know, you need to read the state of the state. The number of Deca unicorns in Cali is growing by the day as investors chase amazing startups. Unique feature of these 10B startups, a billion is, even if they raise a billion, little, if any of that money goes to the founders, who are now worth billions of dollars overnight. They're the definition of cash poor, stock rich. How are you going to tax them? Make them borrow against their shares if they can. They just raised money to grow their company, and a bank will come along and loan them money. A company that has been in business maybe less than a year loan. Will you take their stock if they can't? To really think each of the multiple founders who started an amazing company in Kelly and is now a billionaire can each pull 250 million per billion of net worth from their raise? You know they can't. If it passes and it doesn't directly impact me at all, I won't be a Kelly resident, but you can bet if I'm investing in a multi-billion-dollar startup, I'm asking them to move from California first. In my opinion, if this passes, only idiots startup founders think in Kelly. Why not? Why a non-recourse loan for pledged stock as collateral for this situation? Allow illiquid founders to pledge shares with a loan from the government to pay tax. The loan period is long, but not infinite. The loan is non-resource. At the end of the period, the loan is either paid back in cash or the government assumes the shares. Brother. Wait, how would you even... What if their company fail? Are they stuck with the loan after, like, if their company... like, isn't it worth very much at the end? Like, if you have a $750 billion company one year, do you have, like, you... And 10 years from now, the company's only worth $75 billion. Are you still... Is the loan still going to be on the initial $750 billion? Like, what... I don't know why I chose those numbers, but... Yeah, Trump's messing up everything. O'Connor supported the California 5% wealth tax. It seems dumb to me to expect states to individually do it. If it's done, it has to be done federally. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb for many reasons. Like, sorry, you should have kept your stocks out. This is true. Like, probably you couldn't do it on the federal level realistically, because I don't think our current Supreme Court would uphold its constitutionality. I think there's probably a good argument that it's not constitutional, and certainly the current Supreme Court likely wouldn't. But state level wealth taxes are probably just like not ideal. There's probably going to be a decent amount of avoidance. To the extent there's not avoidance, there probably is just going to be a pretty non-negligible response in terms of just the investment, the savings and investments that wealthy people do, and the entry into like startups. Probably is some effect on that margin. I would read this Dr. Thad article, chat. This is a pretty good, not super complicated, somewhat short summary of some stuff related to this.
The nation state that encompasses that ethnic group has like no right to exist when you would never apply that like standard to anyone else. It's discriminatory because like the selection bias is.
Charge get true.
So if I
think a lot about European countries are kind of in the process in deregulating stuff around being able to have just like an office in a different country to avoid taxes. UK, Netherlands, some stuff. Yeah, we've been trying to address that. But I think you should just do, like I said, DBCFT fixes this, guys. Just do destination-based tax. Oh my god, it's so simple. Oh my god, so easy.
if I say that Israel as a state should not exist, is that an anti-Semitic view? Yes or no?
Arguably, yes, I would say so.
So you would you would say that, in other words, criticizing Israel is anti-Semitic.
I think for the most part, it.
Okay. You would have to moderate it to some criticisms of Israel that go far enough to suggest that it shouldn't exist are anti-Semitic.
Especially the way that Hassan.
Is North defending calling Pisco anti-Semitic LMAO? Get your boy not fine. I don't know exactly what his position is. He seems to disagree with Pisco's notion of anti-Semitism, which I think is like not entirely unfair, but
Uses his justification.
Anarchism and anti-Semitic, it's true.
I guess we would call it like his hatred of the nation state of Israel.
All the ANCAPs are anti-Semitic. Okay, Hans Hermann. Well, actually, Hermann Hoppe is like for Palestine. He is like anti-Israel, but Yaron Brook is actually, I don't know if Yaron Brook is an anarchist, but Yaron Brook is anti-Semitic because he supports anarcho-capitalism as opposed to nation states existing. This is true. No criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. Wow. You can be a friend to Israel and refuse to write blank checks. I agree, Voss. Feel Ro Khan's push for wealth tax in California is to weaponize it against Newsom in 2028. I think Ro Khan is just like a silly guy. I think that's just like very much like a Ro Khan thing to do. That's just probably reflective of his genuine opinions to a large extent.
I would consider that anti-Semitic.
So when an internal Israeli Jew criticizes Israel, they're being anti-Semitic on your own view.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I don't know if does Yaron Brook like support like nation states, or does he say like the ideal is like libertarian and Kapistan, private companies are the fucking government now. I don't know how far he goes with like his anarchism stuff. Yaron does, yeah. See, then he's anti-Semitic. He doesn't want Israel to exist. He wants Israel to be one big company.
Did I say criticize Israel?
Well, or is it just the views that express the desire that Israel not be a country? Is that the only view which is anti-Semitic in this theory?
Like the reason why it's anti-Semitic is because Hassan's.
Oh, he's getting the do we see what chats now, guys.
Israel to not have the right to exist when he would not apply that like standard to like any other country. Nor have I seen him. Like he's specifically singling out the Jewish state in order to say that
on the basis of Judaism.
I would argue so. Yes, I would argue that he's anti-Semitic on the basis of it being a Jewish state.
So how would you establish that it's because of Judaism that he's discriminated against Israel?
Because there are other nation states that would fulfill the same criticisms that he has of Israel, and he did not apply those same criticisms to those other states, and thus we have to
indicates a bias, right?
That he has a bias towards
every time,
bro. So you think that my definitions of anti-Semitism are fine?
Globalism is anti-Semitic.
Show proof of it, right?
The WF is anti-Semitic.
Hold on, if he's showing bias against the nation state of Israel,
what is anti-Semitism? If you're not going to bite that bullet, I'm asking you what anti-Semitism is.
If you were applying,
if you're not going to answer the question easily, stop doing this. Just gonna pause. I'm going to write down, and you're going to tell me what is anti-Semitism because you didn't accept mine. So go ahead, tell us what anti-Semitism is.
Well, I don't know if I ever except I was sort of delving further into your definition of anti-Semitism. I never agreed or specifically disagreed with it.
You don't have a view whether he's anti-Semitic, do you? Because you don't know what anti-Semitism is.
I do have a view that he's anti-Semitic.
So what is anti-Semitic?
I would argue that
what is anti-Semitic?
I would argue anti-Semitism is like a series of either like discriminatory actions or sorry, not a series. I ignore it. It is a discriminatory action or like speech against Jews.
Action or speech against Jews because they're Jews?
It doesn't have to. It can include that, but doesn't necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Whatever. It's just because you really hated people with big noses, guys.
So if you say Netanyahu's bad, is that speech against Jews?
Sorry, I'll speak at my DoorDash order. Repeat the question?
So Netanyahu's a Jewish person, right? If you say Netanyahu should be out of power, is that speech against?
Something new in North Talk, by the way. Can you get him better at reasoning? We DM at least relatively often, and then he's into stream chat fairly often. Netanyahu has poisoned the peace process for 30 years. Palestinians did not kill Rabin, the Israeli PM that wanted peace 30 years ago. True. North is fumbling here, like every person who tries to argue this position. Why don't you call into? I want to see the easy money Pisco debate. Okay, I want to see easy money explain to Pisco why you should vote for JD Vance because the welfare of the bottom 10% is dependent on the rate of economic growth. And if you assume that JD Vance has 0.1%, or I should say, I guess percentage point to higher rate of economic growth, then the welfare of the bottom 10% will be better off 20 years in the future relative to the counteractual of AOC.
Jews.
No, but if the standards that he's applying for removing Netanyahu from power is only selectively applied to a specifically like the Jewish head of state, then I would consider that like anti-Semitic. In the same way that his criticisms
You're going way too far. Stop.
I'm gonna say something stupid. All right, Kurds aren't Semitic, right? They don't count. I don't think they are, right? Are Kurds Semitic people? No, Kurds are not Semitic people. Okay. That's what I thought. But I was going to say the real anti-Semitic position is being anti-Kurdistan. Okay, saying that Kurdistan doesn't have a right to exist.
Stop with this militant.
And thus it is like
we're focusing, okay? You're trying to get as narrow as possible to avoid the gaping flaw in your conceptual analysis. That's why you're trying to get as specific as possible, and it's...
I got invited to a Congress to host a panel. I'm thinking to do a tier list. Arabs on the bottom, Sabra in the bottom. Am I an anti-Semite?
Irene. It's pathetic, so I'm not going to get confused by it.
I think anyone who eats Sabra is an anti-Semite. That's my opinion, actually.
Go back to what you offered. You said a discriminatory action or speech against Jews, and it's not necessarily on the basis of their Judaism, right? That's what you
it can
said.
include that, but
it
can,
but not necessarily, right? So if I say Benjamin Netanyahu is the worst prime minister in Israeli history, he's...
What I'm hearing is you're running, Easy Money. You're running.
Stinks. He's got to go. He should be indicted, and it's a shame that the Israeli people ever elected such a person.
Kurds are Indo-European through Iranic languages, I think, just going off memory. Yeah, it's basically core. I think what the Google AI summary said. Yeah.
Why does that not fulfill the criteria?
Well, because if the standards that you are applying are, I guess you would call.
But if they were, you know what Sabra means? Yeah, I mean it's a homophone. No, I'm aware it's often taken as like a slur or derogatory term against like Jews not born in Israel, right? Or is it it's some... I think that's right. A Jewish person born in Israel. Okay, that's what...
Consistent with how you would apply it to the rest of the world, then it would not be...
Consistency is not part of this definition. Where is consistency?
Well, I should talk to physical economics right now. Oh no.
Like bias, right? Like
that's what I say. You didn't say
white
bias.
supremacist who's discriminatory. Would we not argue that like bias is a part of like discrimination?
So
are there Pisco Prax Ben debates out there? Can we get a... That's gotta have happened at some point, right? Yeah, I mean she's born in Israel. Yeah, I got it backwards.
I think that bias is not necessarily... I actually think bias is probably a form of mental discrimination. Yeah, I would agree.
So not a slur. It's taken to be a derogatory term by many people. I don't know if it counts as a slur or not, but
it's not.
I mean, I guess I'm saying it. Okay, so it can't be that bad.
Necessarily so. And so I'm asking, why is it the case that a speech against Netanyahu, who is Jewish, would not be covered? Unless discriminatory is indexed to on the basis of a given trait.
It's a slur if the meaning is
being Jewish. Then I would agree. That's not. But then you rejected that.
That's why you can. That's why. No, hold on. I rejected that because you're applying the context in like a vacuum. Like, let's say that
I'm not going to get distracted. Don't try it.
I don't think it's happened. Dang, Ben has been avoiding competent people for a while, but like they were both around like 2019.
Discrimination with respect to what? Discrimination with respect to what? What's the trait?
With respect to the trait is them being Jewish, and the reason we're analyzing it
because they're Jewish, right?
Of other things,
because
no, so analysis to determine whether is this based off of like hatred
I'm not going to get distracted.
Israel based off of like stuff, or is it based off of just specifically because they're Jewish?
So just to pause real quick, your notion of discrimination is exclusive to it being discrimination on the basis of their Judaism, correct? Exclusively.
The factor of the Jewishness is affecting the outward opinion in a
the factor manner. Of the Jewishness.
That is what makes it.
That's just a funny way to phrase it.
That's crazy what you just said, but like, let's just deal with it. Is it or is it not?
Wait, hold on. Explain it.
Yeah, because you're saying it somehow affects. It's based on.
Okay, I don't care about this. We're going to talk about other stuff.
Abdullah Syed is somebody that I favor on certain policies more than Haley Stevens, like particularly court reform. I'm not convinced. Number one, I don't think she endorsed Supreme Court expansion the way that Abdullah Syed did, number one. And number two, I'm not convinced, given her more moderate instincts, that she would use for positions the senator.
I will die for Israel. I will die for Israel. I will die for Israel.
He would be much more aggressive in leveraging the power of the member of the United States Senate to push for the changes that I think are a necessary first step to preventing kind of a dark age of Republican rule and potentially one-party rule at the federal level, depending on how the census goes.
And also, to clarify, sorry, you go and then.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Just to clarify, do you consider Hassan Piker to be like a terrorist supporter?
I think he expressed support for the Houthis in Yemen. That's what I've heard, but I've not seen the clips. So based on what I've heard from people in the space, yes, he has expressed at least sympathy, if not outright support for terrorist groups.
Do you think that like let's say you accept the premise that Hassan Piker supported Hamas, supported Hezbollah, supported the Houthis, supported terrorist attacks in like the UK against jets that were being sent to Ukraine. Assuming you accept all this as fact, do you think that might outweigh the like the and letting that be like a part of like a tolerated
What's up, hybrid even?
like might outweigh the Abdul El Sayed support for reform?
No.
Is there what would be your standard for like? Or is
There's
there anything that would be, like,
there's
your
probably
standard?
there's probably no one that Abdul El Sayed could have a conversation with or a friendly conversation with or appear at a campaign event that would make me not support.
Have you considered Josiah? Have you considered 1.1 to the X power versus 1.2 to the X power? This is Abdul El Sayed, and this is Haley Stevens right here. Have you considered? Have you considered?
Support them in a primary if he supported court reform and the other person did not. I would have to really think about it.
Like,
There's not off the top of my head.
If we
There's
had
not.
like Yee and we had Nick Fuentes. What was his name? The music.
Hey.
Yay. Sorry, fuck me.
Mhm.
It's how I don't listen to his shit. Like if you had Yay and you had Kanye West and you had Nick Fuentes on, and they're doing like Heil Hitler things, and they're being, let's say, they're campaigning with Abdul El Sayed, and Abdul El Sayed like supports those people.
Are you farming?
With that?
It would if a person that a candidate was campaigning with was actively promoting or supporting
Does Josiah know there are actually 2 KFCs in Yemen? This is a real question. YouTube streaming is the future of lib streaming. YouTube is I don't want to say better for streaming, but it's like it's just easier to grow on YouTube and like more the pre-recorded content, or not pre-recorded content, but uploaded content separately from the live streams do offer a lot that Twitch doesn't as well. So I think any meaningful streaming career is probably going to involve YouTube at this point.
Terrorism on stage with that person, and the candidate was also supporting their support of terrorism, like if they were all, hailing Hitler together and doing a Nazi salute, then yeah, that would.
What is this? Many Tom believes there are no civilians in Israel. Oh no. They legally bombed another country without any justification for the 2nd year running, and then they put out videos as if they're innocent victims, beyond parody. Oh. I'm gonna bomb shelter Israel right now, sirens just ringing across the country. An attack of Iran appears to be imminent. Incredible. Yo, who is this? I don't see a spouse. I'm gonna need my Israeli agents to give me some of this number real quick.
Probably motivate me to not support that person.
But not in the
Thanks for following, boss. I appreciate it. Hell yeah.
past.
Sorry?
But not if they did
The expansion of what anti-Semitism means, like racism, has been a disaster for the Jewish
that action in
people.
the past and they were more masked on stage.
The candidate or the person the candidate is
The
speaking
person, the candidate is like
surrogate.
the candidate is not going to condemn that action, and the people on stage will not refute their previous actions. They will say like, yeah, I did that, so what?
So in your hypothetical,
Because like, no, sorry, the reason why I ask this question is because in your hypothetical world, would this make you like rethink any of like your priors?
I mean, certainly it would make me think, okay, well, we have to take even more seriously like the polling gap between candidates in a primary in a swing state election. But again, as Pisco said and others said, it wasn't like a 10-point blowout. It's not like a 15-point blowout. It would just say, okay, well, the 3, 4, 5 points in some of the polls, that's going to be more impactful the next time around. But as a general heuristic, again, I'm balancing 2 things: the necessary reforms that I think a candidate needs to embrace in order for the Democratic Party to, win.
Question for you. Oh boy. It's really dumb to call Hassan anti-Semitic. It just shows you don't understand any of his positions.
Versus their
Is this you saying Hassan isn't anti-Semitic? Is one? I'm surprised to hear that take from you, honestly. What is law enforcement doing? All these hate crimes. Some people just want to go to work. This is coming from the same. You call Gavin Newsom homophobic, by the way. By the way, can we just be clear? Your stated position is that Gavin Newsom is homophobic. or makes homophobic jokes. Maybe you probably, to my memory, I seem to recall you did like call him homophobic, but I'm willing to grant that like actual position there is that the jokes that like he and his office have made are homophobic. But like, I don't think he's homophobic. Okay, thank you, Brave. Big Tent is often referring to adding, let's say, progressives and such, but has anyone ever talked about Big Tent to include some new, very conservative Dems? I mean, kind of. I think arguably, not like I say originally, but like that's obviously not the origin of the term like Big Tent or whatever, but like in the like 2024, like I think people use the term Big Tent when referring to like Kamala, having an event with like Liz Cheney, right? I believe there were people who used the term Big Tent at the time to refer to actions like those. I don't know. Bulwark, yeah, they probably do. I mean, I made when I was talking to those like TikTokers like yesterday, like they didn't use the term Big Tent or whatever, but they said it's like some bullshit. How it's like they try to gaslight me too. But like I watched the video back, they did indeed say that today's like left-leaning Democrats are equivalent to centrist Republicans in like 30 years ago, which is just like insane. But like regardless of that, like I use the notion of Big Tent there. I was like, I think Democrats have become a bigger tent party, and like on like both sides. Like there are some like more centrist people who cooperate with Democrats now, but there's also just like a lot more DSA people. Also, there's like a lot of issues that Democrats obviously just have like moved left on, and now like it would not have been like possible or feasible or for the Democrats to like be pro like hardcore pro trans rights in the 1990s, right? That just like would not make sense. But I think it is just true that they've moved to the left on that issue compared to back then. I can never pull off anything without a shit ton of blue dogs. We need them. I mean, it's just always going to be in the nature of, I don't want to say the nature of Congress, the nature of the establishment, the evil, horrible, evil establishment. People forget what a gay marriage was, but yeah, when gay marriage was for progressives, like yeah, but like Obama wasn't openly pro gay marriage at first when he ran, at least. Probably he supported it to some degree implicitly, but could not openly support it. And then it was the Supreme Court that ended up granting it, right? It wasn't even Obama. Need to stop hating on gays. Let them teach you how to dress. You got the mama jeans and it makes a fantastic face. So rich and white, it's like I'm running against a cheesecake. I love that song.
Or their likelihood of winning a general election in the first place. Like, I'm not such an ideologue that I'm going to back an unlikely candidate in a primary simply on preference. I mean, I suppose I would if I felt that the seat was not necessary. Then maybe I would be willing to back a preferred primary candidate who's less optimal in the general. But Michigan is not something we can afford to lose. So if El Sayed loses, it could seriously cause me to reconsider my priors. But it also depends on why he loses. So like if the Democratic coalition comes together and we unite as a caucus and we give it our full best effort, and for whatever reason in this political environment, which should be pretty favorable to Dr. El Sayed, if he fails to prevail, then I think it should be a come to Jesus meeting, not just for people who endorse him in the primary, but for leftists writ large. Like, hey, we ran your fucking experiment, right? We ran, we did the opposite of what Laksha Jain and others recommended. We went with a more progressive preferred candidate over the moderate, and the New Yorkandans of the world were correct. And so if you want to push for a more progressive candidate in a safe blue district or a safe blue state, that's fine. But in swing states, we're going to vote for moderates, and you just need to make your fucking peace with it.
There are no conservative Dems left anymore. There were anti-abortion, anti-gay marriage Dems during the HJA's passage. Politics become a lot more nationally sense. I mean, I think that's. Do we count with Joe Manchin as a up until recently at least a conservative? Even he is like pro. Like, I mean, he was obviously his big thing was like fucking coal for West Virginia. So
I have a question for North before Zai leaves. Would you vote
North, does that make sense? Wait a minute, before you ask your question, does that make sense, North?
I would have like one more question.
Well, just ask it to me, and then you can throw it back to Pisco.
Yeah. It's adding on to the like reassessing your priors. Would you make content like condemning progressives for further pushing like progressive candidates in swing states if Abdul loses? Or would you like, continue on the same? It
would make it more likely that I do so if I believe that this is indicative. If I am convinced based on the results of the election, if Abdul al-Sayed loses, we would need to see the extent to which he lost. We would need to see the exit polling. We would need to examine the data. And if basically at the end of the day, what it comes down to is progressive candidates just simply can't win in swing state elections, then yes, I would be much more inclined to make content saying, hey, listen, those of you, when we always said that, just vote your heart in the primary or whatever is vote your preference in the primary, come together in the general. Well, again, leftists, progressives, whatever, we ran this experiment. We got.
This doesn't work because his face is too low down in the picture. so it covers his face. Mention was a West Virginia Democrat who voted Democrats for the time. Progressives are not winning West Virginia. I mean, I agree. I just also think like easy money's referring to people who like anti-abortion and anti-gay marriage. To my knowledge, Joe Manchin was like, he's still more aggressive than those people. It's just he really didn't like coal. He didn't like some of the welfare spending in the American Rescue Plan. I read any of the stuff on climate change being insanely bad for animal welfare because there's extra species that are I haven't. No, I haven't. That are selecting those species live insane, terrible lives. I like this argument though. I haven't, but that is interesting. I think like I could be mistaken, but I think like all else equal, like having a warmer ocean leads to like more leads to the infinite shrimp whale genocide cycle. It like leads to more krill breeding, which makes whales like breed more, and their shit leads to more krill breeding as well because it's like nutritious to them.
Behind our guy, we were in lockstep as an army together, the DNC, the money, the influencers, the endorsements, and it wasn't enough to get us over the finish line. And keeping these seats, these swing seats and swing districts out of Republican hands is more important than putting progressives in them. And so, yes, I would call that out.
Okay, sweet. All right.
But again, North, I want to be clear. Hang on, North, I want to be clear. The fact that if El Sayed loses, that is not enough. So if he loses, which he may very well be, I don't want you and other losers in my mentions go, aha, you lost. Where's my fucking video? Because the answer is going to be, it depends on how much he lost by, why he lost, and all the facts leading up to it.
If he loses, how about we agree verbally to schedule some sort of like post autopsy stream and we can go over it together?
We should offer an $11 hour minimum wage, index for inflation. Brennan refuses to support it. Minimum wage is still $7.25. Base for any Sanders. Thank you for not raising the minimum wage. Base. This is the Sanders W. Think we can get and come back next year. What meals are all the animals Trump told me horrible. This is good. The carbon tax should be $10 trillion per ton. This is why the Iran war is good.
Maybe we should do that if he wins too, and I'll gloat and you all bend the knee. How about that?
You know what? I'm willing to. I'll be willing to take that bet.
What's up, Fridge Macara? I remember RK selection because of that one shit post. B die randomly. What that? Oh, is it? I'm only familiar with the shit post.
All right, go ahead. You ask me your question.
Warmer ocean can actually disturb the Gulf Stream, which can result in Europe actually becoming colder. We don't know the outcome besides it's bad, but what if it reduces wild animal suffering?
North.
What's up?
Who are you voting for? Hamas Piker or Jefferson Davis from the Confederacy?
Hamas Piker or Jefferson Davis?
Yeah.
It would depend.
Really?
Yeah.
This is Jefferson Davis, okay, guys? This is Hamas Piker. What's up, North?
It would depend.
All right.
It is you.
You have to cover with Josiah?
Not that
What do you got? I've only skimmed through some parts of it.
I can think of now.
What did you guys talk about other than anti-Semitism and then this random bullshit? Who would you vote for? Abdul Al-Sayed stuff.
I'm sure I could like think of other questions, but
32 can contribute. I think it's because it might have been food shops. Someone rated.
like combination of like the things I already have prepared for you, Pisco, and like me DoorDashing it. I just can't think of anything right now. So
Word. Hey.
Well, this was fun.
That was fun.
I want to know what the platform is.
yeah, we got to do this again sometime.
What would the Jefferson Davis modern day platform look like? This is an important question. Jefferson Davis would be Republican today. No, Jefferson Davis would be Democrat today. Jefferson Davis, if he was alive today. I am quite fond of Minecraft Hunger Games.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, listen, Pisco, I just gotta say, I still to rub one off on it. I'm still funny. Did you appreciate that clip? I thought you were pissed off. Did you appreciate that clip?
Oh,
that I sent in the group chat? Yeah.
Just like there is.
I would argue that it probably is like an empty set.
Yeah, sure. That's fine.
Oh, Avi's here. Oh no. What does Avi talk about?
Or what I've talked about before.
Does saying it's nuanced discredit the things you say? No.
Yes. Okay. So then, yeah, I don't understand why we keep having like this like major contention. And we keep,
I
like,
just
trying to
told
show
you.
we could just think
Believe
it's like,
what?
Holocaust denial.
He was Avi. He was DoorDash.
Maybe then we can get into that can be anti-Semitic.
Real internet. Yeah, if you.
It doesn't have to fully be explained by that, but at least has to be partially be explained by that.
But the problem is that the rhetoric applied against the Jewish state, it is
Jefferson Davis, if he was alive today. I'm so old.
the only state that he will apply that rhetoric to. Like, when is the last time you heard Hassan? Like if you want to say that like Hassan Piker has like a anti-West, like pro, I guess countries that like hate America.
Well, good night, North. It's just yes to Charles's question. That's what I'm interpreting it as.
I would say that, by the way.
Hassan Piker has never applied the exact same rhetoric for, let's say, Germany or Poland. At least not in the same way of calling them like ethno-nationalist states.
So what I just said. So I hear you. But what I just said was that it's going to have to be explained, at least in part, just by the fact that they're Jewish and not because of that they're a Jewish state. Unless there's some way of saying that.
Well, hold on. There's only one Jewish state.
I know there's only one Jewish state. Whether there's it's going to be true whether there's one state or Jewish or 2 or 3 Jewish states or 10. It doesn't, like, regardless.
So if we're like discriminating against like one Jewish state,
the-
then like would we not consider that like to be an anti-Jewish bias?
No, so on the notion Pisco just gave you, you can have a anti-Israel bias without having an anti-Jewish bias. So, and yes, you would have an anti-Jewish state bias without
Yes,
necessarily.
but like the bias that we're talking about here is only applied selectively.
Jefferson Davis would be the biggest Avi Bitterman fan, bro. Don't know what you're talking about.
To the Jewish
Yeah,
state.
it would be an
Like,
inconsistency. Yes, you could have an inconsistency.
what are we calling it? Would we not call like an inconsistency in like
Or
applying
bias.
standards? Would we not call that like discrimination?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be against Jews qua Jews. It wouldn't be like that's what Pisco is going to tell you. He's going to say like on the
But, like
notion,
if it's only applying it like, against just one particular state, then yes, it is. That is like the
Okay. Kill me. Oh shit. Oh fuck, how do I do it? ABD devices. Fuck. Open file location. Open in terminal. ABD devices. Kill me. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Is it ADB? Oh my god, it's a DB. What's the photo titled Short Stack Goblin? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I can copy this one. Okay. Screen copy this one. Select a device via... Oh. Wait. That, what? Uh-oh. Guys, I'm dumb. Claude. Claude, how do I do it? Hold on, I think... Hold on, don't want to expose the short stack goblin porn, guys. Okay, yes. No, don't worry, guys. I got the... Can't use the terminal extension. Let's check on a few of our buddies. Why not?
Structure comes in because of that economic activities that's going
If
on.
aliens came down to Earth,
They have to preserve
we are going to kill a
peace so
billion
that
people.
the
If
economy
someone
will
doesn't
move
beat
on.
us in a
But it
debate,
doesn't change the fact. Hold on,
representing
hold on. But let me see.
oh man, a debate on what? Oh, what's up, Super? Welcome back. I'm choosing Candace Owens. Jordan Peterson. Oh man, I don't know. It would obviously like depend on the topic, but it might be like it might unironically be like some internet like autist. What do you know about a man called Evil Destiny? He is an internet autist. Okay, maybe guys, maybe.
Will grow. Well, the have-nots or the poor people that you, as you describe, because the system itself is rigged. I'll make a point in this way when I say that these two systems actually failed us or the humanity. If United
about
States
Cool Guy 11?
represents the
That
right,
one I
which
don't
is
know
the
about.
capitalist, the so-called free market, and
Wait,
China
hold
would
on.
be the socialism.
Hold on. No, I'm not doing this. Tell us what your solution is if you think this has all failed.
Say it again.
What's your solution?
I believe that the solution would be a crowdfunding and developing all of this non-profit, non-governmental, charitable,
Sounds like
angel
socialism to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Killed, there should be restitution. Like your family should be, given proper.
What are they talking about? Veterans, actually?
What's proper compensation for human life?
There is no proper compensation for human life, but I mean, the justice system makes mistakes the same as everyone else because it's run by people.
So the justice can kill someone accidentally. That's okay.
Okay,
I
incredible.
must agree with you with, but I don't, because you sound ridiculous, sir. I'm being honest. I'm going to say it for everyone up here. Like, I don't know what you're trying to come up here and peddle, but like, it's not, let me stop before I say.
You don't know what you're
Just because we don't have class consciousness to bring out, don't you know?
Jerome, meet me in the octagon on UFC 6 right now, dude.
You got to pay for it.
Okay.
Long term, the market itself gains value. You don't have to. It's not a closed system. It's a system that keeps growing. That's the main advantage.
If I make like a shit coin
True.
and I have it open for like 100 years or something, like
these ignorant motherfuckers no more.
Okay. So guess who? My first question is, are you familiar with the term cognitive dissonance?
Incredible stuff.
Do as
That's
the
a
same as the
pain.
white person? No.
I don't know. It's no one that I have my eyes on, really. OMG, what is this? Called Total Unlimited Total Slop. Nobody you want to argue with? I mean, are these X lives? They're TikTok lives. I don't want to, it doesn't really matter. I don't want to show the screen just because, like, the TikTok messages are on there. Not that, I mean, I don't think anything here really matters, but, you know. Few campaign of Hamas Abiy, justifying Sharia and embracing care. What is this? Oh, Council on American Islamic Relations. I will label you an Islamist, and El Said fits this mold. True. No short stack goblins. Yeah, sadly, no short stack goblins in the non-fun TikTok messages. Or in the not fun folders. Believe it or not, guys. Just not any short stack goblins. That's not what Islam is. Easy money, you know. Grand Design Enjoyer is like a total, in the nicest way possible, like total clown. Like not a serious person. This is the bad stuff I got in my This is the short stack goblin form that I have, guys. just so it's out there. Okay, we're watching this. Which happened a while ago, but I only just saw it. I think posted on Twitter like 2 days ago. And it's probably gonna piss me off. Feels like using backwards labels to smear people to avoid discussing the substance of conversations. Wow, so you sound like Pisco right now, easy money.
Series. I am Pisco, your moderator and host for today's debate. Welcome to the Thunder 32 round, the very first round in the verbal debate battle. 32 contenders are going to be facing off in a word war debate tournament. Only 2 make it to the championship round, which takes place.
Charsky, did you have yours yet?
As a moderator, I will be fair and just and balanced. Your definitions outlined early, and let's have a fair verbal discourse. May the best debater win, and remember, a lot is on the line. Boomers are responsible for today's economy. Debater 1, Mariah believes the statement is untrue. Mariah Myers is a master herbalist and co-host of Poppy's Field Project podcast on Am Wake Up channel. Our second debater is Rex Jones. He
Well, if she's a master herbalist,
believes that boomers are responsible for today's economy. He began his career as a reporter and contributor for InfoWars before 2016. We are going to be starting today with Rex and moving on to Mariah after. This is going to be the format. We're going to have 5 kind of ruling class, and then it'll be the open debate section. We're going to start with Rex opening. Your time starts as soon as you get going, and
is it Pisco TTS voice?
Ready for you.
No, I think it's just.
And so whenever we get started, it'll be Rex first, and followed by Mariah on openings, and then it'll be the open debate section. We're going to start with Rex opening. Your
I do have it at 1.5 times speed or whatever. Well, just hey, you're the one that will. What do you mean it's so tired, bro? You have been the one begging me to talk about it, at least before. I don't know, maybe you tried it by now, but I feel like a month ago you're like, oh my god, Nafan, stop doing this Slop, talking about total boomer luxury communism.
Time starts as soon as
master herbalist versus InfoWars contributor. Kill me. These are the intellectual titans of our time.
Going, and I'm ready for you.
Oh, okay.
I think it's very clear to the vast majority of Americans that there's a ruling class of our society, of our country, and
bro, let's go. It is very clear, brother.
Not racially or ethnically based. It's not even, gender based. It's age based, right?
What's the answer?
Of time where people born between 1946 and 1964 experienced the largest explosion of wealth, social and economic mobility, everything stacked on top of that. And those are what we call colloquially the boomers now. And the boomers became the majority of the U.S. Senate in 2008, and they've held that majority for 18 straight years. In contrast to their parents, the greater generation.
And that's since 2008 is the
64
period we're concerned about.
Experienced the largest explosion of wealth, social and economic mobility, everything stacked on top of that. And those are what we call colloquially the boomers now. And the boomers became the majority of the U.S. Senate in 2008, and they've held that majority for 18 straight years. In contrast to their parents, the greater generation, they peaked at 15 years. And those
usually people will complain about much longer time span than that. Although this guy is the anti-boomer or anti-boomers are responsible guy. What is
with
this?
That.
This
what do
horrible.
I do with that? Yeah, all your examples of communism come from countries that have been influenced, I never
not
gave an
even
example
heavily.
of any country that is other than.
Okay, let me at least watch the opening.
Those people retired in their 50s and 60s. Boomers refused to retire well into their 70s and 80s, and I can give you numerous examples. They first became the majority in the House back in 1998.
Wait, what?
Boomers now. And the boomers became the majority of the U.S. Senate in 2008, and they've held that majority for 18.
Oh, he's talking about retired in Congress. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Boomers refused to retire
that part
to their 70s and 80s, and I can give you numerous examples. They first became the majority in the House back in 1998, and like I said, the silent generation peaked around 1989, 1991, but they never held power as long as the boomers had. Today in the Senate, boomers still make up 60 out of 99 senators. That's a clear majority. They only dropped below majority in the House recently, now at 39% with Gen X taking over. They have been the decisive median voting bloc for the past 30 years. They are responsible for ushering in all of our foreign policy and domestic policy that has led to deregulation and
Kill me.
destruction of the younger. And like I said, the silent generation peaked around 1989, 1991. But they never held power as long as the boomers had. Today in the Senate, boomers still make up 60 out of 99 senators. That's a clear majority. They only dropped below majority in the House recently, now at 39% with Gen X taking over. They have been the decisive median voting bloc for the past 30 years. They are responsible for ushering in all of our foreign policy and domestic policy that has led to deregulation and destruction.
Wait, sorry, Gen X?
Today in the Senate, boomers still make up 60 out of 99 senators. That's a clear majority. They only dropped below majority in the House recently, now at 39% with Gen X taking over. They have been the decisive median voting.
I'm assuming they prefers to for the boomers, but does he?
30 years. They are responsible for ushering in all of our foreign policy and domestic policy that has led to deregulation and destruction of the younger generation. An argument I think that I might have to deal with today is the argument of, well, young people just don't know how to spend and save. They weren't as frugal as the boomer. They weren't as prepared. They didn't spend as much in stocks and whatnot. I would say to that, the boomer contributed to a large environment of destabilization and economic destruction leading through 2008, the dot-com bubble.
True, which...
And even now today,
which like... maybe you can make a point about other stuff, but like asset prices have got up. Like, what are the big complaints about? Boomers even usually it's like, oh, they all benefited from like asset price inflation, and they all have like homes, and their value of those assets are going up. In 2008, actually led to an increase in asset prices because of quantitative easing.
Generation. An argument I think that I might have to deal with today is the argument of, well, young people just don't know how to spend and save. They weren't as frugal as the boomer. They weren't as prepared. They didn't spend as much in stocks and whatnot. I would say to that, the boomer contributed to a large environment of destabilization and economic destruction leading through.
Oh, it's a performative hatred of seniors reeks a political envy, bro. I don't understand. Sorry, I don't understand you sometimes, you money. Remember when you were shitting on me for being too pro boomer? Like
through 2008, the dot-com bubble, and even now today, where you look at things like the Iran-Ukraine war. War hawks are overwhelmingly senior citizens in our government, and they are representative by large of the boomer population that vote for them. The economic damage when boomers.
I would sell my kidney if I were to travel back 60 years and enjoy when the economy was good. Like, what metric, like 60 years ago, was like either the absolute standard of living better for the median person, or even like a more relative sense of how should a relative sense of standard of living doesn't really make sense. But like, I don't believe that even 60 years ago, like real wage growth or a real compensation at least was like significantly higher today. Maybe it's the case that precisely 60 years ago it was on a higher growth rate, but I think in the long run, it's just like a pretty steady trend.
Took control of the Senate in 2008. The national.
Don't like how this guy says the boomer feels like a Nazi talking about the Jew. I mean, this is an InfoWars guy, right?
Today it's over 38 trillion. Social Security and Medicare programs. Myself as a 23-year-old, I know I'm never going to receive, even though I'm paying into them. People are a big fan of this policy, and they vote to maintain it because it's the largest wealth transfer from the poorest segment of the population, the young people, the richest segment of the population, the old people, basically in American or human history. That's kind of the crux of the issue. That's kind of the crux.
Don't make me defend it. Don't make me defend it. Don't make me defend.
Of what's going on this ocean.
Okay.
2008, the dot-com bubble, and even now today, by large of the boomer population that vote for them. The economic damage when boomers took control of the Senate in 2008, the national debt was around 10 trillion. Today it's over 38 trillion. Social Security and Medicare programs. Myself as a 23-year-old, I know I'm never going to receive, even though I'm paying into them.
I think probably you will receive some of it. Number one, I think the most likely outcome is that Social Security and Medicare, or at least some equivalent program, will exist, 50, 60 years in the future when people our age retire. People still have some type of income. Okay, I think that it's likely that there's going to be some cuts, particularly to the wealthiest individuals, but likely that you'll still get them. Second of all, there's like the
boomers are a big fan of this.
You're paying into them, but you are getting, like, you do have some claim to the future income flow of Social Security, of the trust fund, right? Now that value might go down because of like demographic issues or whatever, but I don't think that alternative systems fix that. How do you fix the demographic issue except for increasing real output or doing some mix of increasing contributions and decreasing benefits? You can't. Like, you could pay into a fully funded account, but it's not actually going to fix the demographic issues because you're just going to have a generation of people, assuming if you just assume like totally stagnant output growth, which is unrealistic, but for the sake of a hypothetical, if you just assume totally stagnant output, you're just going to have a generation of people who contributed to a fully funded account, and now they have a bunch of these stocks, but there's just a big mismatch between the nominal claims that they have and the amount of goods and services that actually exist. So there's just going to be inflation in the goods market or just a mismatch between the amount that the older generation wants to sell in assets and the amount the younger generation wants to save in assets, right? Which is just going to be met by the devaluation of those assets. So it's not like you paying into them even though you're not going to receive them. It's like anything fundamentally different than you paying into a fully funded account and not receiving the benefits for the same underlying issue of real output. Why should the people who pay the most get less? I think, first of all, I don't actually think this is the case with Social Security as it is now. It is my understanding that the people who pay the most actually do get, actually, it might not be the people who pay the most get the most, but it is actually like semi regressive. I think, I don't know if I have like stuff on that saved, but it is the case that like just because contributions are, or like your payout is in part based on like how much you work and your contributions, that it's actually like not that progressive. But I think the reason that you should arguably want this is because it's a like social insurance system. So one, there might be like some distributionary benefit, like just in the sense that there's diminishing marginal utility and such, right? Like it is just redistribution. But two, it's just like a type of insurance. It's a type of risk pooling, right? So people are going to be subject to different risks in their life. They're going to leave them with potentially lower retirement income because of whatever factors that may or may not be within their control. And because of that, the insurance pays out to the people who actually face the risk and, you know, didn't work. And when I say risk, I should clarify, like risk could technically include like someone just like not working, right? So maybe you have issues with that. But the average proponent of TBLC thinks houses were like a year's wages. The time price of housing is down by like a quarter versus the 1950s. Yeah. Issue more work permits and let them pay Social Security. Immigration obviously does mediate the issue. I agree with that. I'm just saying, I just think the way of viewing it like I'm paying into the system, I'm not going to get out of it. I think that like actually like there's almost an equivalent case under any retirement system under conditions of stagnant real output. There's just no way to get around that. A fully funded system doesn't get around that. Your own private savings don't get around that issue. And you do have a claim on the future labor income of others. And there are some like risks you don't have under a PAYGO system. Because if you rely on Social Security rather than a defined benefit plan, you're not subject to risk of unexpected inflation, right? Because Social Security is indexed to inflation. Your payments are indexed to inflation. But a defined benefit plan, if there's an unexpectedly high amount of inflation, you might have a fairly generous nominal retirement plan, but you're not going to have you're going to have to suffer the cost of the unexpected inflation. Why is this phone saying it needs to restart? Whatever.
Policy, and they vote to maintain it because
one on a Chilean retirement system, it could be better. I'm not familiar with the specifics of Chilean's retirement system, but like I'm not committed to the view that a PAYGO system is optimal or that Social Security is optimal. I think it's a little silly to view it as like in the way he's viewing it and presenting it. The social insurance system is part of why these people are seething about the luxuries and choices the boomers built for them, in my opinion. I don't like totally disagree with that. I just think that's like I said, just like a silly view, just like a misunderstanding of the arguments for it.
It's the largest wealth transfer from the poorest segment of the population, the young people, to the richest segment of the population, the old people, basically in American or human history. That's kind of the crux of the issue.
Like this is still like arguably it's something that like ex ante benefits you still. House prices compared to median wages has fucking skyrocketed. since the 50s. Wow.
People.
Is there like a... I think house prices compared to median wage has gone up since the 1950s. Now, it's going to differ probably a bit as to whether you adjust for the size of housing and what exactly type of compensation you're using. Because when you say median wage income has grown less than wage plus non-wage income, right? Because we grant a lot of non-wage income nowadays. But I think people often exaggerate the extent to which is like just totally unaffordable for Gen Zers to own a home or whatever.
To the richest segment of the population, the old people, basically in American or human history. That's kind of the crux of the issue. That's kind of the crux of what's going on. We have a bunch of old people that are kind of grifting off of the rest of the people that have to live in a much rougher world than what the old people originally had to endure. We're talking about people with $100 rent that are now wagging their finger in the face of people that are having to pay $2,000 to live.
I'm crazy. I thought this guy was supposed to be the boomers aren't responsible for today's economy. And the girl was supposed to be they are. But maybe I got it backwards. Maybe I didn't listen close enough.
So,
oh man, what are we quoting from?
Responsible for the economic decline and destruction of the United States. We spent $10 trillion in war.
You want to link whatever that it's from?
Since Iraq, Afghanistan, Ukraine, and now Iran, overwhelmingly people supporting those policies are the old people. That's my opening statement.
Thank you so much, Rex. Now up, Mariah.
Hello, everybody. And
backwards? Damn, fuck.
Listen to this debate. So we face this proposition of a modern myth to claim that the baby boomer generation is uniquely responsible for our current economic reality.
Nosy money from the Cato Institute. Well, yeah, bigger homes, fewer persons per household. This is relevant too, the fact that household size has declined. So like space per person has gone up. Median home cost about $14,500 in 1956, roughly $12.61 per square foot, with an average wages about $1.85 an hour. Each square foot required 6.28 hours of earning. Today, the median home price is about $420,300 or $190 per square foot. However, average wages have risen to $36.53 an hour before benefits, bringing the time price down to 5.21 hours per square foot. No one is asking for a commune block, just smaller modern houses. Well, I think there probably is like some constraint on density in most places.
Reality. So to accept this premise is to completely misunderstand how global economics even function. So if we
I can't wait to hear from the herbalist how global economics functions.
look at the logic of this argument specifically, to blame an entire demographic generation that is based off of something super complex, multi-trillion-dollar economic landscape of 2026, to blame the baby boomers solely is like kind of insane, because that would be like blaming everybody with a smartphone about surveillance, about phone addictions. So it's
I appreciate you stopping by, Fringo.
completely
See you next time.
It's completely absurd to blame one generation off a broken system. So every generation is born right into an active track that they did not build. No group of everyday citizens operate in a vacuum. Our economy is built and shaped off the systematic policies, institutional
True, sister.
constitutional bodies, central banks, globalist forces, far larger than any single
Central banks and globalist forces. This is true.
demographic could ever control. So I'm a Zennial. I'm right in between the cusp of
The fuck?
Generation X and millennials. So
Oh.
I'm the bridge generation. This is kind of based off astrology. And when we look at the
Oh.
patterns of astrology, you start seeing why generations act as they do. And so I'm not here to defend the older generation out of blind nostalgia. I'm not here to say that they're to blame. I'm not trying to say that the younger generations are being whiny about it. But we need to look at like the whole system
I'm here to say that.
as a frame. It goes beyond just one generation or even our lifetime. So from the advantage point of being in the cusp, the media-driven generational gap is manufactured illusion. It's designed to keep the 99% divided. So
I thought we were gonna get like, oh, actually, if you look at this paper from like the Federal Reserve, actually, like market income for Gen Zers is not any lower than it was for Boomers at the same age, right? In fact, it's like a little bit higher. But okay, wait, no, we're we're doing that.
You talked about the great wealth transfer, right? The supposed 84 to 104 trillion dollar wealth transfer. Well, one, it's not all being siphoned. Some of it, yes. A lot of it, yes, being siphoned from the 99% to the 1%.
God.
But a lot of the baby boomers are aware of this. And so what they're doing is they're helping. Some of them are helping the younger generations by directly investing in their children and their grandchildren and thereafter, by helping them with a house, helping them with the first home, helping them with these student loans. Whereas during the housing crisis in 2008,
So Gen Zers have to rely on the generosity of the evil boomers. So we're gonna get some of the graphs here. You know, market income, individual / couple. You can see for Gen Z, it's like higher than it was for all the other generations at the same age. Post tax, post transfer income, it's higher.
again, a lot of things were siphoned, not just from.
And a funny little meme, if you include the market value health insurance, which I don't think is like really fair to, like, there's a reason they don't do it, but it's like way higher. When including the market value health insurance in our income measure, generational income growth remains uniformly positive, somewhat strengthening income growth for Generation X and weakening it for millennials.
Like the younger generations to the older generation, because still, when we look at the 1%, that is the oligarchy globalists that are constantly attacking the 99%, whether the generation,
True.
the oldest or the youngest, we're all still victim of the same system that is broken. So to talk about them being completely to blame, yes, they are the ones that are in the Senate. Yes, they are the ones in the policy-making chairs, but they
She's conceding so much, bro.
a larger game.
Yes, everything is horrible, and yes, the boomers have a lot of power, but globalists also are evil.
And so, if anything, I think we need to look at the baby boomers. They're our eldest. They're the ones that have lived the longest through all these economical changes. Yes, they were given maybe more privilege, but in a weird, like already structured system that is based off of the fourth turning generations, where you see the cycle, usually based off of Uranus, and where we see these line up, and it trickles down into not just like the globalists and how they play the game, but how we are the pawns in that game, not for just one generation, but for many. And this turns around again. And so I don't think they're to blame.
Another eviction protection will fix this, trust me.
Class to look at
One more minimum wage increase.
we need to start looking at fighting up, punching up, and not across, even when it comes to the generations.
Thank you so much, Mariah. We're almost ready to go and get started on the
Oh, some epic fucking music.
Thank you so much for your
Oh shit, that was fucking awesome.
quick video from our sponsor.
Oh, what the hell? What type of fucking... Sorry, just
Even when it comes to the
it's like AI generated, seemingly.
Thank you so much, Mariah. We're almost ready to go and get started on the open.
But like we have the World War debate logo that explodes
And debater, thank you so much for your openings. We're just going to cut real quick.
and then reforms into the World War debate. Sorry, Word War debate contender series logo. Like whatever. I have conceptual issues with this intro reel.
Wolf Gold. Tonight's contender series is proudly brought to you by
shit.
Wise Wolf, Gold and Silver, and Bitcoin. Wise Wolf helps
What the fuck?
individuals protect their wealth through precious metals and Bitcoin.
This is the Gen Zers would beat the boomers if they just fucking all bought gold, okay? The real reason the boomers had it easy is because they were on the gold standard, guys.
Giving people real alternatives outside the traditional financial system. Visit wisewolf.gold to learn more.
So without further ado,
I like the thing of Destiny was moderator who crash out instead of acting like the participants are normal. I mean, it's the job to be chill here, I think.
it started. Rex, I know you wanted to say something.
Yes.
Not only to mention it's infinitely harder to get a good job with benefits now compared to 30 years ago. That's like just not at all true. I think probably if you look at hiring rates, I don't know how far back like the JLOTS numbers go. I can check in a second. It's probably not the case that like job hirings are significantly lower. And then certainly, I don't know what your standard is for good job with benefits, but I think the fact that the median income has gone up, income including non-wage benefits, is like evidence of the fact that that's not the case. Full-time job where you can get a retirement pension and won't be fired with zero warning is basically a pipe dream today. I just like don't think it's true. I think like many even entry-level jobs offer like 401k. Like both of the jobs I've had technically. I only worked like one shift at the Dollar General I worked at before I got hired at Sheets, but they offered a 401k. Sheets also offers a 401k. Like you can get a Roth IRA, which has a lot of tax advantages. I have a Roth IRA as well. That's obviously like not employer contributions, but regardless. Make sure to experience point TTS. Let's get some super chats. Let's get some YouTube jewels in here so I can contribute more to the non-fund Roth IRA. I made the effective altruism funds the beneficiary of my Roth IRA in the event of my death. My Roth IRA contributions will be going to the effective altruism. I forget what the name of the actual thing is, but like effective ventures funds.
So, Mariah, am I going to get Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things that I pay into that the older population is receiving right now and has voted for candidates that would protect it over our interests of people that aren't ever going to get?
I will bet you half of your realized benefits. Do you think he'll take it? Half of this guy's realized benefits, okay? I'll do it 2-to-1, okay? Half it, either they exist and he pays me half of his realized benefits, or they don't exist and I pay him what his full benefits would have been, okay? This is, I'm offering this bet. Let's sign a contract. Labor market is pretty bad right now, but it was decent for the majority of 2026. Yeah, I think it, well, I don't know if I would say, I don't know holistically if I would say pretty bad. Like, unemployment is still at 4.3, it's somewhere between 4% and 4.3%. I think the hiring rate is lower. 4.1%, yeah. And then, how far back did this number go? I don't want total. Isn't there? This only goes back to 2000, anyways. Am I thinking of the right thing? The J-lots? Isn't there a rate? Oh, there's a rate. Oh, is it only separations? Hires, levels, and rates. Rate seasonally adjusted. It only goes back to 2000. But like right now it's 3.4, which is down from 4.3 where it was in the early 2000s. Oops.
Possible just to help out when needed.
Just a low fire economy now? Yeah.
If you guys are talking over.
Which I wouldn't like, I don't know. I wouldn't describe that situation as pretty bad. I think it might be fair to describe it as pretty bad for like new workers or like entry level workers, but
each other, things like that. So without further ado, let's get started. Rex, I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah. So, Mariah, am I going to get Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things that I pay into that the older population is receiving right now and has voted for candidates that would protect it over our interests of people that aren't ever going to get it? Am I ever going to get access to these social programs?
Probably not. But
God damn.
Like, do you expect to? And it's not even the fact that like everything is changing. Everything is completely changing. And so the fact that you want these programs and you expect them to still be there when they were started so many years ago, right? Everything is changing so fast. Of course not. We all have a social security number. You can actually look up your social security number, and with the right,
you can look up your social security number, believe it or not.
Bank of New York, the oldest bank.
Have you seen the? Yeah, someone showed it to me earlier.
That we have here, and you have the right routing information. You can find your own personal bank. We are constantly being stripped of everything that was given that's ours as citizens of the United States.
Okay, but how is that relevant to the old people voting for the thing that we're not going to get as the young people and making us pay for it?
Well, okay, so why are you hanging on to an old system that's like breaking? Like that's kind of my like. Okay, yes, you want Medicaid? Do you want Medicaid? Like I go through life without health insurance. I don't buy into these systems that are the problem. So for me, I'm more about being a sovereign.
Adverse selection, final boss. What?
Person, and that's kind of what like generation, the boomer generation, that's what they were born into. They were born
just let Rex respond to that real quick.
Sovereign. So okay, why do you want it though? Like that's my question. I'm saying you're not going to get it. We're not going to get it. Not going to get those things. We're not going to get those things.
Let's let Rex respond.
Yeah.
You're literally an older person telling me I'm not going to get these social programs, right? You're just saying, hey, well, you shouldn't get them anyway. You shouldn't be dependent on them. That's not the deal, right? When they took that money out of my
it's so gone already. That framework is already gone.
Just finish real quick and we'll toss it back to you.
Yeah,
I'm working in a warehouse and I'm 15 years old doing pick and pack and I get my first paycheck and it has Social Security taken out of it. Why am I not entitled to get that money back?
Well, you are entitled to if it's still there, but I don't.
Why does it matter if you are? Real output is a constraint. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't want to say, or I don't want to say like it doesn't matter, but like I don't think it matters for like his, like the sake of his argument. Like you could have a fully funded system that still benefits boomers by nature of the demographics. Like it's so funny that Kana has a cheat econ degree. Do credentials even mean anything anymore? Well, no. The reptilians are going to harvest your organs, but the reptilians are being manipulated by the Lord. It's the attendants just like we are. They should be fitted, not blamed.
It's definitely not going to be. So why are you like wishing on a wish that it's not going to be there? But it's not the generation of the boomers to blame. They're under the same system. They've been paying into it, and a lot of them have lost their 501. A lot of them have lost their pensions, especially during that 2008, 2009 housing crisis, right? Everybody lost. Everybody was a victim.
Oh, I guess some of them.
So those programs are so outdated. Like, of course, we're not going to get them, but it's not there.
This is Scott Sumner has this blog post. And in fairness, the Rex guy kind of brought like some of this up or whatever, but it's like boomers were not the ones who implemented many of these things. So it makes the point that the silent generation did a lot of them. The decades after World War II saw many cultural, political, and economic changes, the birth control pill and loosening of divorce laws, feminism and civil rights, rock and roll and drugs, Southland crime policies, and a sharply rising crime rate, the end of the global price peg and soaring inflation, the welfare state and affirmative action, a dramatic expansion of unfunded Social Security benefits, environmentalism and NIMBYism. The most important change began during the 1960s. The decades after World War II saw a notable baby boom, generally dated from 1946 to 1964, which I think is the generation the years he used. I was born in 1955, smack dab in the middle of that period. I am a typical baby boomer. Now I'm going to say something that might not be controversial. That might be controversial, but it's obvious when you think about it. I am not personally to blame for all of the cultural, political, and economic policy changes of the 1960s. I say this because I frequently see boomers being blamed for every single ill in modern society. The peak of change was roughly 1965, some call it the liberal hour. I was 10 years old. Not a single baby boomer was out of their teens. If you wish to blame a generation for the ills of modern society, please blame the silent generation and the greatest generation. They got rid of traditional morality and pushed divorce rates much higher. They put Social Security on an unsustainable path. They ended the gold price peg for the dollar. They created affirmative action and NIMBYism. They ended the death penalty. Heck, they even invented rock and roll. Like, yeah.
I'm paying for that's my money. It's going to the old people never getting that program.
Well, the fact is that a lot of them died and are dying. Okay, so
read Nicholas Barr, read Nicholas Barr, read Nicholas Barr, read Nicholas Barr.
it's just a system that is going away anyway, and I know it sucks. It sucks, but so does all the student loans that I paid into, and then all those companies went away.
What is this argument, bro? What are we doing?
Selling your debt, selling your debt, right?
What?
Although, like, and push out upon a star of an old system. We've all paid into it. Every single one of us. If we have a paycheck, we've paid into it. But you know that it's not going to be there because everything is changing so fast. And is that okay? Like, is it like? Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to blame your grandma, your grandpa, and your parents?
Just 1 second. So why don't you respond to that first and then ask your question at the end for Mariah, okay?
He's already so done with this shit, bro.
Ended there, but yeah.
No, you're good. Okay, so you say that these are all old concepts, things that are going away, but we've paid into them, ma'am. Okay, we've paid into them our entire lives. And you tell the
paid into a lie. Why?
Let him.
Brother, you're 23. I'm sorry, brother. You're 23. Even if you've been working since you're 15, you're fighting like that's 7 years, right? Like, bro, or 8 years, right? Yeah.
Right, just let him get it all out.
Direction here is war a concept that's going to go?
And I don't know how much money he makes on, or I guess the InfoWars host or whatever they said. I don't know. There's some like my YouTube income is like not subject to Social Security unless I were to set up like an LLC, and then it would be subject to like the self-employment Social Security stuff or whatever. But regardless,
because the old people who overwhelmingly vote for war and vote for us to go die over in the Middle East and other places, those people, they make that decision. They're old. They don't have to fight. Just like they're old, they get the money that we pay into their system. We have to pay them, fight, and die for them. Do you not see that?
Oh, but you know what? They also had to do the exact same thing for their elder generation, right? These are the generation that went into Vietnam.
I was gonna say like boomers. Well, Vietnam was. Some of the boomers, I guess, went into Vietnam, yeah. The older ones.
School, they're trying to go to law school because they were trying not to go to war. They were bred to be soldiers. The baby boomers were bred to be the next soldiers in between the wars.
Why do you
so,
disagree with that, Rex? That militant warhawk mindset has contributed negatively to the past 30 years when they've been the dominant voting bloc in the United States.
well, anyways, okay, so they're using an old tactic called voting, and it's working for them. Whereas a lot of us younger generations are like, we don't even bother to vote, but then we bitch about who is
True, though.
And that's why I don't vote for a lot of different things, because I don't validate somebody.
Oh my God.
Policies are. We don't have a lot of options. And so, one, you're bitching that they're voting, but they're still the generation that's voting.
So can we pause real quick? So Rex, are you taking issue with the fact that they're voting or their choices? Both as well. So talk more about that. They're overly represented. Like, that is the voting demographic. There are people that have been programmed by mass media, massy campaign to. He said, please, Fox News only households, please vote for me. Who do you think those people are? Ed Gowron, the boomer that beat him after getting all the money to run the televised ads. That guy calls for a national draft. That guy's 68 years old. That's who you're representing. And you're saying these people, hey, they got all the wisdom, right? Hey, Ed Gowron, he went over and fought and did whatever, and he was special forces. Those medals might as well be refrigerator magnets. He wants me to go fight and die. That's boomer foreign policy. That's Lindsey Graham foreign policy. That's Chuck Schumer foreign policy. That's Donald Trump foreign policy. It's across the spectrum, Democrat and Republican. These are war hawks and people that love to spend the money of future generations. And they're putting a lien on our future.
Maybe I don't want to say most, I could be wrong, but I feel like probably still most of the anti-Warhawk people in Congress are still like boomers. Like, yeah, it was like AOC, Bernie is a boomer, right? Most of the like moderate Dems are probably still like boomer. Like, is Chuck Schumer, probably by his standard, he is a Warhawk, but we've seen bad up and honor criticisms of Hassan. These people are way more entertaining than the mainstream commentators. I've seen some of it. I haven't like watched that much stuff from Bad Up and Honor, but I know he doesn't like Hassan. I know he didn't like that Hassan went to Cuba or whatever. And he had criticisms of Hassan like LARPing in Cuba. But by the way, socialism is a threat to our constitution. Wow, what's up? Let's I don't know how to pronounce that. In our number one country, and number one, our country, its founding principles and values. Well, welcome to the stream.
That's what's going on. It's the national debt. It's the deaths overseas. It's all of it. That's what I'm talking about here. You're just like, it's nothing. And then the astrology and the generations change. I'm giving you real logic as to what these
all of what I'm talking about is part of the equation. I look at astrology because these patterns come down and they're long form. They're playing the long form. And yes, you can say that all the boomers are in the White House, but it's always been that way. And so what I'm asking is, then why aren't the younger generation stepping up and running for Congress, running for Senate, and maybe trying to get the older generation out? Obviously, during the last pandemic of COVID-19, the elderly were targeted to be kind of wiped out. The globalists know that they're spending a lot of the Social Security numbers, so they've been attacked.
True.
Go to the hospital to go die.
Wait, sorry. The globalists know that they're spending a lot of their Social Security numbers?
Okay. And so what I'm asking is, then why aren't the younger generation stepping up and running for Congress, running for Senate, and maybe trying to get the older generation out? Obviously, during the last pandemic of COVID-19, the elderly were targeted to be kind of wiped out. The globalists know that they're spending a lot of the Social Security numbers, so they've been attacked.
Okay.
Go to the hospice,
sure, you can link it in the Discord. Easy money.
Hospital to go die. And so they have been wiping out their own kind. If this is a predator class, that's a huge population. And boomers are no longer the most populated generation anymore. The millennials have taken over. The boomers are dying out. And so what's going to happen with all their wealth? One, they can invest it in all the wars, which is happening to all of our money of your taxpayer, but what a lot of them are doing is trying to give it to their kids.
We're not watching all of this.
So I talked about Abdul Al-Sayed last week, and it's obvious that this guy, given that he was already saying, I'm not a socialist, socialism doesn't work, it's not scientific, I'm a capitalist, all this sort of thing, paying lip service to Israeli self-determination, as he put it, stuff like that. It's obvious, as it is with anyone who's in the Democratic Party, obviously. Just him being in the Democratic Party should be enough of a clue for you that he's just going to turn the second he gets anywhere close to power, right? As always happens, working in the Democratic Party is a dead fucking end. You should never look at a Democratic Party politician and take them as anything but what they are, which is an attempt to sheepdog you into the party. If they make left-wing sounding grunts, you should roll your eyes and see it for what it is immediately. They're trying to appropriate the things that you care about and make you think that you're going to have your voice in the party, so you don't have to do anything for yourself. That's the whole point. And usually, the second they win their primary or they get into office, they start moderating their rhetoric. They start changing their tune quite a bit. They start doing things that are not exactly in line with the way that they frame themselves or that you believe them to be. And Abdul Al-Sayed won his primary literally a few days ago. This supposed pro-Palestine guy who is against the genocide of the Palestinian people and a fighter against the Democratic Party establishment, who, by the way, has fucking Hassan Piker working on his campaign, fully endorsing him. Here they are together. Hassan Piker, the revolutionary socialist. They are great friends, fully 100% endorsed by Hassan Piker, who's definitely not just a Democratic Party shill. Well. Guess who immediately the second he won the primary? Kamala Harris, the vice president of the USA during the most bloody period of the Gaza genocide. This anti-genocide, pro-Palestine stalwart accepts immediately, obviously pre-planned, the endorsement of Kamala Harris glowingly. He writes, Vice President Kamala Harris understands the key role control of the U.S. Senate.
He should reject it. You want him to reject? I mean, it's bad up and not I know, but like, that's the standard, really?
Plays in lowering prices for Michiganders, how do you say the Michiganders, and holding Trump accountable. To achieve a Senate majority in 2026, we need to win Michigan, and that means beating Mike Rogers. Trump and his allies prey on our divisions, which is why it's so important to bring communities together right now. Her support in this race is critical to building an unstoppable coalition against Rogers, Trump, and their assault on our rights and democracy. Just like I stood with her in her effort to defeat Trump, I'm so humbled and grateful for her support in this race. The important 100% Team Abdul as well. They're all coming out. He's that fucking guy.
I don't understand why Hassan endorsed Lander. It makes no sense. Me either, actually. I don't know why he did.
When it comes to the U.S. Senate, we have Abdul al-Sayed, who insists that money in politics has gone too far. And we have him running against Mike Rogers, who insists on being part of the problem.
Based.
We have one candidate in Abdul al-Sayed who wants to expand affordable health care and keep more money in your pocket. And we have another candidate, Mike Rogers, who literally voted against the Affordable Care Act, and you better believe he will cut health care one more time if you give him a chance in the United Senate. So we will not let that happen. Mike Rogers has disqualified himself.
So all of the establishment Democrats are immediately coalescing around this guy. I mean, it's obvious this was pre-planned. It's obvious, if he won the primary, they'd already spoken to him as to what they would do, as to how he should act, which is why he's like just openly accepting the endorsement.
Wait, I'm saying, I mean, it's bad up and out. Okay, it's bad up and out, obviously, but like, it's probably candidates have plans for what they're going to do given a not at all unlikely outcome happens, right? Like they probably had plans for either candidate winning, Stevens or Abdul Aziz. And they probably it'd be silly for them not to have plans. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, of course, is Abdul Aziz supposed to reject all their endorsements? Like,
Kamala Harris, Hassan Piker is going to be saying shit like, I operate in reality, you goddamn ultras. Like, we need to win, okay? Do you support Trump? You don't want to beat Trump? The argument they're going to make is going to be, we have to support these people, otherwise we won't win. But the way they're talking about it, what does that actually mean? If you compromise...
Al-Deed has ensconced himself into a Democratic Party machine, and he's fundamentally opposed to entryism. I mean, it's bad enough and not okay, so I shouldn't be surprised. I just think it's a crazy standard.
Like Kamala fucking Harris, the guy's a genocider in chief, the establishment Dem of all the establishment Dems right now. How are you advancing what you believe in? You're not. You're just becoming like a tool for her and the establishment as Abdul al-Sayed is.
Okay.
And bypass this, and they don't want to see their grandkids go to war. Do you think the rich want to see their grandkids go to war?
The old people. Let's respond to that.
Okay, guys, I'm tired. I'm sleepy. I stayed up. I guess not that late last night, but I woke up early to edit the video of me talking to the TikTok girls, and then I went to work until 10, and then I got home and I streamed. So I'm sleepy. But I will stream again tomorrow, probably for longer. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, Corey. Good night to you as well. Head over to Tomfoolery. So you're fine with your establishment political elite opening the gate for al-Sayed because there's a good chance he can get elected? I don't, to the extent, I'm not sure how much I would say they're opening the gate if they're only endorsing him after he won the primary. I am concerned, right, with the general sort of populist narratives and populist rhetoric and bad policy that endorsing Saeed kind of to some extent normalizes and supports it, whatever. The issue is I'm gonna think a lot of those criticisms apply 80% as much to the people doing the endorsements themselves, right? So I don't view Abdul Aziz as that crazy much more extreme than I mean Buttigieg, he's probably a fair bit more progressive, but compared to a lot of the other people giving his endorsements, I don't know. Committed Kamala Harris, it depends which Kamala Harris you're talking about, I guess. But even Buttigieg uses a fair amount of populist rhetoric and populist thinking and anti-elite, pro-market intervention, yada yada yada. So, but I don't. I think it's fine for them to endorse Saeed after he won the primary. I think that's fine. I think that's expected. I think that's good. A good norm for the Democratic Party to have is to do that. And I'm not certain I would say it's in this individual instance bad either. So. It's obvious being normalized by al-Sayed and establishment endorses al-Sayed. What is going on? I don't think that connection is just too tangential for me to be that concerned about. But like I don't I just don't view it as like that much bigger of a thing compared to just like even normie progressive Dems who might not associate it with Sam Piker, just kind of like endorse a lot of bad thinking and bad policies. So I don't know. Democratic Party is moving towards sound position, not non-fun positions, unfortunately. When will they embrace non-funism? Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'll be streaming tomorrow. I don't know what time, but make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Love streaming. Love to go from me stream. It means a lot to me. Yeah, make sure to join the Discord if you haven't. Can I give memberships? I think I already gave them this month, but I might not have. No, I can't. Okay. Yeah, all right. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Yeah.